Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching. That's from yesterday. Didn't really work, whatever the hell that was. Yeah, if you were on here last night, we gave $500 to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Yep, so I did the show yesterday and then the video. Oh, sorry, my audio was way down. Did the show yesterday and the video I put out today that hardly anybody saw. I mean, it's really disgusting. You know, I don't know if it's the people viewing that aren't sharing and liking, or YouTube just, oh, you know, we want to keep the, you know, let's not put out anything that might be contradictory to what the majority of the people think. I mean, it's so ridiculous, you know. I thought it was a pretty good video that I made. I don't know if you guys even saw the damn thing. I think 90% of you didn't. It's only got like 4,800 views or some shit. That's just terrible. You know, especially when you have 147,000 subscribers. I guess when you don't put out what everybody wants. Oh, everybody... Make Jen be bad, the bad person, Gray. It does? What's wrong with the title? Yeah, call and tell your stories. You know, like if you... There's people that have had predators like Stephen Stearns. I don't know if I worded it quite right, but, you know, you could probably say... Yeah, maybe it sounds like I want people to call in that are like, yeah, I see what you're saying. I'll just get rid of that part. Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying. Like I'm wanting people that are predators like Stearns to call in. That's not what I'm saying. I meant to say regarding something like that. But yeah, I mean, if you're out there and, you know, if you have a story where something happened, you don't have to use your name or anything. You don't have to have your picture on the screen. But there's a lot of people that have stories that they could tell of how, you know, maybe it was set up where the mother didn't know, and other people, and, you know, how the grooming. Because I think there's just so many people that aren't educated at all on this topic. Oh, I don't know. Who cares, Karen? Jeez, that lady was a total fake, phony person. We just put up with her calling in just for the hell of it, but she wasn't even real. She sent a picture one time. Look at me winning a dog contest, and it was some lady, a totally different person. So yeah, don't worry about it. And what does that have to do with this show right here? Yeah, nothing. So let me see, I'll go to this screen. And there's a number right there. So, I mean, you can call in for anything. Like, you can call in and make your case why you think Jennifer absolutely knew, because you're smarter than the detectives are. you know more than they do. So I'd love to hear your explanation. And then I also want people to call in that have had experience with, if you feel comfortable with, having a predator like that and what they were doing and how they made it. And I think if somebody explained it to people, it might be better than reading an article. This might be a really short show because I'm only doing this for people to call in, and if nobody calls in, I'm just going to end the show. You know what I'm saying? But also, if you're out there, my channel runs and relies on your guys' support. So here we are, like Cheryl Bullock right there. Thank you very much. Wow, that's about as loud as you can possibly imagine. Jesus. Hello, this is Gray.
Hey, Gray, this is Lacey Glob. I have a story. It is not my story, and I will not use real names, but I will most certainly tell a story that may surprise a lot of people. I actually let this man live in my apartment unknowingly of him being a predator, and he would use the restroom around my daughter with the door open, and I eventually had to make him leave. After making him leave, the lady that he was with had 3 daughters, one in which he was really close with. We never exactly knew why. And then the truth come out. Let me just start off by saying that she was first groomed and molested and abused by his older brother, who went to prison for grooming her because the mother stepped in and did her due diligence as a mother and pressed charges, and once she found out. Little Dino, the brother to the same guy that was grooming her, would come in and wine and dine her and the mother, and they ended up getting into a relationship. Her young teenage daughter, who was, I can't even say she was teenage, she was 12 at the time, ended up pregnant. Her daughter would not tell her who she was pregnant by. They just kept it a secret, her and this man. Actually, she never even really told the man, but who would have to tell. Nonetheless, she had the child. The mother kept telling her, when you're ready to let me know who the father is. This child was 4 years old when she finally broke down on the side of the road and told her mother that the man she had been sleeping in the bed with every night had been coaxing her with money, with gifts, with this and with that. And that child was actually her getting ready to be husband. And the mother was absolutely appalled.
Well, I'm kind of confused. Well, I'm sort of confused what you're saying. Like you said, 4 years old. Somebody was pregnant, and then they're 4 years old, and then that was going to be a husband.
So imagine this being Maddie. Let's just imagine Maddie, Stefan, the mom. Okay, in this situation, the mom, and we'll call him the other creep. We'll call him a creep. I won't use real names. So the mother and the creep were in a relationship together. The mother had actually been, she wasn't in a relationship with the brother, okay? But the brother is how she knew of this man. The brother went to prison for grooming. The brother come in, I can't believe my brother did that. Oh my goodness, let me make your whole world better. And he danced his way into the mother, which in this case would be Jen, danced his way into her heart and gained her trust. Her little 12-year-old daughter ended up pregnant. They convinced the mother that it was because the little girl was experimenting. She was sleeping with different people. The little girl who was pregnant, which in this case would be Maddie, she gave birth. The only difference in this whole scenario is the fact that the child I know in this scenario got pregnant, had a baby, and kept it a secret until the child was actually 4 years old.
Oh, when the child was 4. Okay, yeah. Huh.
And then the mother found out that her daughter had given birth to a child by, of a man that she had been sleeping in bed with every single night.
Oh, did they ever do like a DNA test on that?
I'm sorry?
Did they do a DNA test on the child?
Yes, they did. They did. They had actually state troopers and all kinds of crazy people looking for him. My husband used to work for him, and we got real close with his wife, and we all become friends. Even I had no clue this man was like that until I started seeing clues when he moved into my house, like him going to the restroom and, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot I left the door open.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of, like you said, like reverse voyeurism, kind of like, I'm going to
exhibitionism
to where I'm going to walk. Right.
Yeah.
So it definitely happens. People are groomed. Predators don't walk around with signs on their forehead. As a matter of fact, all these people that say, it will never happen to me, it will never happen. You better hope it never happens to you. And if it does ever happen to you, remember the words that you say, you should be just as guilty, because everybody says she failed to protect Maddie. Okay, I understand she wasn't the greatest parent. She maybe wasn't she was on Xanax. She was on things that made her go into deep sleep. Just because she may have been a little bit neglectful as far as, keeping a hawk's eye on her. Yes, I completely agree with that. But to say she didn't protect Maddie, how can you protect somebody from something you don't know they need protected from? Yeah. In her case, she found out and it was too late.
So in the scenario that you're talking about, hold on a second. In the scenario you're talking about, early on when that 12-year-old was pregnant, did they ask her, like, hey, well, who did you sleep with? She just didn't say anything? She would refuse to say because she was protecting the guy?
She just told her mother that it was a boy, and she didn't want to tell her mom who it was. Her mom tried and tried and tried to get her to tell her.
Have you ever talked to her since? Have you ever talked to her since then? And asked her? Well, here's what I want to know. Hold on a second. I want to know if the groomer, the person who's the father of that child, was the one that told her not to say anything.
Yes. He was giving her money. He was paying her bills. At this point, she had gotten old enough to where she could move out of her mother's house, so she had her own place. He was paying her bills, and honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, I think the real reason the truth come out to begin with is because he got to a point where he could no longer financially provide for her. And then once he got to a point where he could no longer financially provide for her, she had a meltdown, and her mother actually had to pull over on the side of the road because she started panicking, and her mother got it out of her, and her mother drove her straight to the police station, even though she was currently in, but of course, that's again because she found out. The daughter was so groomed that she was never going to tell unless there was a reason to tell.
Yeah, so maybe in Stephen's, the only thing,
but it happened.
So the Stephen Stearns case would have been like if Maddie was pregnant, and then he convinced her not to say it was him, and that it was some random boy, but she'll never say. But I mean, the thing is they would just have checked the DNA almost immediately, and I mean, it seems like a long time in that case for nobody to really be checking or wanting to know the answer,
Right. And I agree. But the mother in this case was a hard worker. No, Jen wasn't, and I agree. But a lot of people say, oh, well, she was sent up to his bedroom. At that time, it was considered the guest bedroom because Stephen Stearns had actually moved out and was planning on slowly moving back in. And, I don't like watching this lady, but she was on court TV, and it just made me cringe because I'm just like, how in the world can people be okay? That's like saying because you didn't know your child was being sexually molested that the mother should be just as guilty.
I cannot stand people that say, like in my comment section, they say she's just as guilty, and I just want to say that you're pathetic. I mean, people who say stuff like that, she's just as guilty. Now, I mean, based on the evidence we have now, which is an absolute
Right.
joke. There's nothing out there that shows that she had any involvement whatsoever. Now, in the future,
and
like I
they
always say,
have
if something
so
comes
many
forward, if
digging.
something comes forward in the future, maybe at that point, I mean, obviously at that point, if there was some evidence and she got arrested for something, I would go, oh, well, there you go. But there isn't anything, and they
I
spent
agree
5
with you,
months and they found
because
nothing.
they have done months and months and months of investigating, and they still have. They wanted to find something, as you can tell by the way they drilled her towards the end of her interview. They wanted her to be guilty of something, so that they could have help solving this, but they can't find anything. Hence why she is not. She is just as much of a victim, and yeah, she went into this mode of, oh my goodness, let me tell him to get an attorney. Maybe he did touch her, but maybe she's out there somewhere. Even the detective himself said, that's not important to me right now, with all due respect, or however he said it. He may have even said, as messed up as it sounds, that comes secondary. We need to find Maddie. And Jen was like, no, I totally agree. Because she thought that somebody else had abducted her daughter at this point, and she was hoping, by the grace of God, that her daughter was still out there.
Yeah.
So, of course, she was in denial. Yes, there was pictures, but imagine somebody that takes medication that clouds your... I mean, that stuff builds up in your system and on your brain and in your body. And someone that doesn't take something like that maybe would have thought that instantly, but someone like her probably was shocked and had to process the information, and he probably still was trying to manipulate and lie to her to make him believe her. Believe me, they must have the wrong guy. What picture? My face ain't in any of those pictures. You know, it's unfortunate, but it happens, and it's scary to me that so many people... I've heard more ridicule for Jen Soto than I have for the actual man that committed the actual disgusting ass crimes that he has, and excuse my language. But they want her to be guilty so bad for what?
Yeah, like Love Boston just now typed in, Jennifer Soto was guilty of negligence, period. I need her to be guilty so all my buddies on Facebook like me more. Yeah, it's so stupid. There has been nothing. You know, every time people talk about, Jennifer lied, look at that. And then I said, what did she lie about? Oh, the time about when she said she saw Maddie in the kitchen, or, you know, getting ready for school. That's the only thing that I've ever said. That's the only thing out there. Well, hold on, I'm speaking. That's the only time that she ever did that. Okay, the other times when and people keep using the thing where she says, we took her to school. She said we took her to school twice, and both times also said Stephen Stearns is actually the one that took her to school. So she corrected that, and it's just the we for like our family unit we. Okay, that's it.
Yes,
Man.
if
There's
my
nothing
husband
else.
was to take my daughter to school right now, I would have said we dropped her off. We went and dropped my daughter off at school. It's just a family unit, speaking as in that this is what he told me, this is what I believe, this is what I'm telling you he done.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it, Gray, but I know that's not my story, and I know that the person that this happened to probably wouldn't mind just to get the word out. It does happen, and it happens right under parents' nose, and you have no clue because your child is trained not to say anything. And then sometimes not even just trained, but they're guilted into, oh, well, you wanted this too. Oh, well, you allowed this to happen and you did it too. You're going to get in trouble. So then it becomes fear, guilt. There's many reasons children don't speak up.
Yeah, I mean, I did a whole show last night on it. Went through all these different articles, and you still get these lunatics who show up and they just can't get over their own personal bias. They aren't able to,
and, thank God,
and that's what's scary. I'm glad those are the people. Those are the people that should never serve on a jury or anything, because there'll be no piece of information that could ever change their mind of the feeling that they got and went, I'm sticking with it. You can't convince those people. You know, it's just.
Gray, I appreciate how you operate your channel. I really do. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like me.
People interpret the truth as being rude, it's just the truth. And I'm with you. If somebody gives me more evidence, I will absolutely at that point say Jen is guilty. But until that point, she is a mother who literally just found out after her daughter was murdered. She had no chance, and I'm sure she's drowning in guilt, and she will live for guilt or with guilt for the rest of her living days.
Yeah.
And someone like Jen Soto with already existing anxiety disorders and things of that sort, you all have no clue. She's probably living in a prison within her own mind right now.
Yeah. So Ivan's one of those guys. Ivan's Victor's trying to be liked by the popular crowd. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and put Ivan on timeout tonight, unfortunately, for 30 minutes. Maybe come back later. He wants to be liked. He always says the opposite stuff on other shows. Now he wants everybody to be, oh, hey, look at me, everybody, look at me.
Other people are just coming in repeating the same things that other YouTubers are saying based on speculation, feelings, and guesses. No facts.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm gonna get the lines open, and somebody else wants to call in. But hey, appreciate your story.
All right. You have a great night.
Hey, you too. Thanks. Bye. All right. Well, the lines are open right now, and Ivan just wants everybody to like him tonight. He sees where the wind is blowing. Yeah. I guess every single time a predator grooms a mother and a child, the mother should be thrown in prison for the rest of her life for negligence. There you go, everybody. All right, well, anyways, if you guys could help support the channel, please, I'd appreciate it. Pretend that this is a channel where we're just trashing Jen into oblivion and they're getting super chats up the yin-yang, and pretend that that's exactly what this channel is doing, except we're not doing that. All right, this channel relies on your guys' generosity. Last night we brought in $400 and I donated $500. All right, we gave $500 in the name of Madeline Soto to NCMEC, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. She definitely was an exploited child by Stephen Stearns. Let's see. And there's a phone number up on the screen. I want to hear from people who have had an instance or know of an instance of maybe a friend. I mean, it's pretty common, it sounds like what is it, 3 out of 10 or something? I mean, it was a crazy number we were reading about. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I don't. The person who I actually feel the most sorry for is the stepdad of Madeline. Stephen. He's somebody that actually knew and cared about both of them. The bio dad, he just kind of barely knew, even Madeline, and didn't know Jennifer at all, really, just kind of like a one-nighter type of thing. I feel bad that he lost a child, but, it's like the emotional part's more on the stepdad's side, in my opinion. And, I think more people should listen to what the stepdad was saying. He was literally telling everybody that he does not believe that she has any knowledge or anything like that at all. He sees the look and the way she's acting, and it was totally consistent with what he saw the whole time because of her mental state and drugs she would take for the, actually prescribed medication. And then you have a detective who just doggedly tried to make Jennifer, be guilty and believed she was guilty. And then I bet you anything that they consulted with experts in the field, and based on the digital information and interviews they've done with everybody, they could find absolutely nothing. And Jennifer's behavior and circumstances are absolutely consistent with a groomed parent by a predator whose goal is to, abuse the actual child of the mother. All right. Thank you, Romo Omar. Justice for Madeline Soto. Yep. And I don't know if I'm the only one, but do I appear? I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't believe that she knew any of YouTubers out there that is saying what I'm saying here. And the truth is this is the responsible and accurate position to be taking in this case with the current information that we've been given. And that's just the truth. Now you can sit there and say, I don't know, Gray, what about when she talked about the Woody Allen thing? And what? Well, there's probably a lot of women after watching that. They might have had a boyfriend and a young daughter and were kind of like, God, man, I hope that shit doesn't happen to me. And you know what? She said, that's my biggest fear. And then another time she might said, my biggest fear was something else. She's one of those people that just has like these certain words that she says over and over again. My biggest fear was, no, it wasn't. You know, just like she would say, just kidding, when she said something wrong and then she realized, wait, that's not what I meant. She would say, just kidding, and then you go, oh, look at that. She said she's just kidding. Who would joke around at a time like this? Well, she wasn't actually joking around. That's just the word she uses. Right? Okay. Anyways, the phone lines are open. Just call in with your thoughts on this. That'd be great. Because that's what the show's about tonight. If we don't get calls, we won't be doing the show. But we're currently really struggling on the support for the channel portion, as we are only at 10%, not even that. I don't know. It's hard to say, Gene. It's hard to say. If she let him sleep that night together, she must not have suspected anything. She trusted him. That's why she was shocked when there was proof of it. Now people go, well, then why did she get him a lawyer and everything? I don't know. You know, maybe she just was like, holy crap, man. You know, because she cared about the guy. Like, hey, I don't know, maybe he needs to get a... I don't know. I can't explain those kind of things, but she's just not all there either on her meds and just kind of droning around. And you could tell she totally changed from that later on March 1st, that interview. She was absolutely going after him on everything. And she didn't think, and I think that's where the evil thing is, like, well, I don't think that's as evil as killing somebody, but now that I know that, yeah. Well, anyways, I'm probably going to set up a timer. Oh, wait, hold on. It looks like somebody's calling in up here. Hello? Anybody there?
Yes.
Well, you're on the show.
Hi.
What's going on? Who's this?
This is Nikki Johnson. I think my name pops up. Is buc-ee missing dentures on some channels. I can't understand why or how. Like, my handle shows up in weird places.
I don't know what you're talking about. Can you start over again? I have no idea what you're saying about dentures and anything. It just doesn't make any sense. Okay. I mean, just.
Yeah. Okay. My name is Nikki Johnson, but sometimes, like on YouTube, like I have a handle. It's buc-ee's.
Okay. Yeah, but we you know. But look, what are you calling in about? Like, it doesn't matter what your handle is or anything like that. Like, it's just.
Well, no. I don't understand why. That's my point. Like, I've been commenting on your section, and it shows up as one thing. And I don't know why. But anyway, okay, first of all, I just want to say, like, oh my gosh, I feel like, I kid you not, I have been following true crime forever. And I can't think of a case where I've ever cried as much as I have over Maddie's case. I mean, it's just terrible. And then I had commented, I think it was Plunder. You know, Paula had posted something about, you know, she posted, was it Tyler? Was it her dad's name, Tyler?
Yeah, I don't want to, you know, let's just.
His comment.
Okay, go ahead. I'm not, you know, I don't want to get too far into, like, talking about Tyler or kids or anything like that, or other YouTubers or anything. Can you just get to the point of what this whole thing is about, that you're calling it about?
Yeah. Yeah, I just meant it's like really sad. It was really sad. Like I felt really bad for her bio dad, because like when I heard his interview, and I heard him being so broken down and absolutely crushed, I made a comment like my heart broke for him, and then someone had commented, he doesn't deserve your tears, I'm like, who are you to say who deserves my tears or not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I felt like the whole entire situation, like, it's tragic all the way around. And Steven Stearns had everybody snowed. Like, oh my God, he lived with, like, there were 3 other adults that lived in that house that did not know what was going down. And
not a soul.
I think Jen had some real mental health issues. Did she take her medication? Yeah. Should she be shamed for it? Yeah. No. Like, we're not there. We weren't in that house. We don't know. We were not, like, even Madeline's close friends had no clue what was going
like the
on.
Friends, the school counselors, any cousins, family members, nobody knew anything other than other than Stephen Stearns and Madeline Soto. That's all the only people that knew.
Yeah, exactly. So who are we to start throwing, like, sticks and stones? And it's real easy from the outside to judge, from the outside looking in. But if we weren't there. We weren't there. And I just feel bad. I feel so absolutely awful, just awful for everybody that loved Madeline. And I really honestly feel like, okay, I'm ready to talk about, like, oh, let's go on to West Island or whatever, right? Well, the reason why everybody hangs on to West Island is because we all felt like there was justice unserved, which was Nicole Kessinger. We all felt like, well, I mean, not all of us, but I mean, there are a lot of people that felt like Nicole had some part in it, or she had some knowledge of it, and that's why I won't let go. And I feel like people are, like, hanging on to, like, this whole thing with Jen, because, I mean, let's face it, like, we're not going to know. But at the end of the day, like, if a high-profile case like this, it's real easy to, like, feel like there's justice unserved. And the public will hang on to it and hang on to it and hang on to it. But at the end of the day, we really don't know what happened or what Jen knew.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no evidence that she knew anything, so it's more likely she didn't know anything.
Exactly.
There's no text messages. There's no digital information.
That's what I'm thinking too.
The detectives, they went out and looked for 4.5 months and found absolutely nothing.
And, I will tell you, I mean, I have several family members in law enforcement, and, like, when crimes against children are committed, they hold on to that shit in their heart. Like, they hang on to it. Like, they take it personal, And regardless, and I really feel like if the investigators thought that Jen was involved, I mean,
people are wondering what the clicking sound is.
We know by now.
People want to know what that clicking sound is.
I'm sorry, what?
Well, people want to know what the clicking sound is in the background.
I have absolutely no idea.
It sounds like you're typing.
I know what it is. I know what it is. I know what it is. I've got my headphones on, and I've been wearing them for so long. They're loose. And like when I talk, I'm shaking my head and waving my hands. That's probably what it is. I don't know. But
all right.
I'll try to be still.
Well, I think I'm going to open up the lines, get some other callers in. But I appreciate it. Sorry for the beginning there. I just didn't know what the hell you were talking about. Okay, have a good one.
Well, that was why. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. No idea what she was saying at the beginning. Oh, there's another caller. This is Gray. Who's this? Hello?
I'd rather not say.
Okay.
Can I say anonymous?
Yeah, you don't have to say your name. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have personally known two pedophiles in my life. One was a male and one was a female. And you would be, well, maybe not you, but others may be very surprised at how wonderful and charming and popular and, otherwise normal that they appear to be. And they're just so good at grooming the whole family, anybody that's around their victim. And they come across as so helpful and loving and generous to not just the child at first, but to the parents. And, it's people don't understand how they can trick people. Now, I'm not defending the fact that in this case, in looking at all of the information, it's my humble opinion that Jen was a SHIT mom, but she seems also to have some issues, and I think that may play into it. But I had some experience with this twice now in my life, and not myself personally, but two children that I've known in the past.
Can you say like how instead of talking in generalities, like what are some of the things that these people would do, how they would trick the family, etc.?
They look for vulnerability.
Did you witness
in my
this?
case, and one of them
Okay.
was we had a death in the family, and this person stepped forward and became the babysitter, became so helpful and so kind, and the parents began to trust this person, and pretty soon they became a sole babysitter and started being left alone with the child, and pretty soon that all started happening. That they not only ingratiate themselves to the family and the child, but pretty soon they'll start using threats. And I heard of some threats that happened in both of these cases where, if you say anything, they're not going to believe you anyway, especially children on medication. They tend to make them out to be liars, forgetful. They start, we've heard things that they were saying about Maddie, for example, kind of denigrating her in a way, and I didn't like that, because they not only get close to the parents, but they'll start kind of wearing on the child's credibility, and that sets them up to where if the child ever says anything, they're not going to be believed anyway. That happened in one of our cases, and the perpetrator completely got away with it. The second time they did not, but the child was a little bit older and was able to tell more. But the first one went on to do the same thing to another child, and they did finally get caught. But still, this is something that these families and children have to live with forever and never goes away.
Yeah,
once you lose, it completely destroys the whole family. Have you? I'm just wondering. Because I just tuned in shortly ago. Have you seen the interview from Chris's parents?
I've just seen little parts of it. The one part that bugged me that I don't. They're still denying that they had any idea that he was like that. I don't agree, and the reason I don't agree is that. I was the one that interviewed the four friends of his, and one of them's name was Chase, and they all lived together. And Stephen Stearns, they had another roommate, and Stephen Stearns filmed the other roommate's girlfriend in the bathroom and put it out on a server.
Yeah.
And then Chase is claiming that roommate was paid off by the mother because that guy wasn't doing very well financially, and he took the money to not say anything about Stephen Stearns. And if it was a one-off story, you'd go, well, it's hard to really prove that. But then it turns out Then it turns out during this investigation, that Stephen Stearns was filming Jen's roommate under the door with his camera.
Wow.
So that sort of proves that what he was doing a long time ago, at least that element of it is true, that he was filming and it was put out on a server, and now it's like it comes down to, was the roommate paid off not to say anything, and that's it. So.
And see, Jen knew about that. She knew that he was doing that.
Doing what?
Did she just never, ever,
Jen knew about what? What do you mean Jen knew about what? What are you saying?
Didn't she know about an accusation at least about Stefan doing inappropriate? She didn't know about that? Okay.
No, because they weren't, all these people weren't friends anymore. They weren't friends with that same group.
Okay. I struggle so much with this because I saw in my family where the adults, the parents, were excellent parents.
Sorry,
and
my
they honestly had no idea. And, once they found out, of course, they were right there with the little girl. But it seems like Jen's, kind of making excuses, and so are his parents. And I don't like that. There is no excuse, period. Never. No excuse. And
my thing is, if
I don't care.
I think if a predator grooms the parent, then the parent eventually over time isn't aware that something's going on. Just like in those cases that you had, like when the parents would allow the babysitter, that person to babysit, they totally made it seem like they were a normal person. There was no reason for them not to trust them. So when you say no excuse, I don't know what you were saying, because that is one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. And it's so hard in this case. I can see, just because I've been in a codependent relationship in the past myself, those are a joy, that Jen seems to be very codependent. I think she was super codependent with Stefan, whatever. I don't care how to say his name.
Right, who cares?
She seems very codependent, and I think that
he picked her
a little bit.
Well, he picked her for that reason. She had mental problems. She was struggling. He could be the knight. He could be the knight in shining armor. He came in. He probably made it seem like, hey, if you're ever really tired, we could do a sleepover. And then she would say, no, I don't think that's appropriate. But over time, he kept having Madeline ask, I guarantee you, hey, I want to go up there and do a slumber party. And she goes, okay, maybe this one time. And then eventually because Madeline didn't say anything, because she's groomed, she probably trusted him. Oh, okay, they didn't do anything that last time or anything. I trusted him and I was nervous about it, but now I'm not nervous anymore because nothing happened those other times. And they were with each other for 7 years, and he was a family member.
As a mom, though, even that doesn't even compute with me as a mother. Because
I know everybody wants to say that because they want to
There's no way I would ever
moms.
let my child, daughter, or boy see my spouse naked ever. If my child was in my room with me and my spouse is in there taking a shower, everybody would be made aware of the situation. Hey, Dad's in the shower, you go hang out somewhere else, go tell the husband,
but what does that have to do with what we were just talking about?
Be sure to cover up. She made no effort on that instance.
No, but she did. Remember that when he came running out of the shower, he came out of the shower. He said he came out of the shower, and then I don't remember what Jen's reaction was, but it's like, don't do that again or whatever. I mean, I don't know. That wasn't what we were talking about, though. We were talking about just the whole situation of grooming, like Jennifer was groomed too. And so when you say there's no excuse, or because you're a mother and you wouldn't do it, it doesn't mean anything when people say that. Like when these mothers in here, you're all super moms. I get it, right? You're the best. It would never happen to you, so therefore you can criticize some other mom because it makes you feel good that you wouldn't do that, you think, right? But in this case, there's many women out there that this happens to, okay? And are they all just really shitty, gullible people, or are these people just that good at getting people to trust them, and they're part of their lives?
They really are that good.
Yeah, well, that's the answer right there.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. They really are that good.
Right.
And these people, one of them was successful chef. He was very good looking and very friendly, had lots of friends, had a normal life. Everybody thought he was completely normal. There was no red flags that anybody saw other than totally getting way too close to this kid. Suddenly, she became his favorite little girl, and he was just showering her with gifts and showering the parents with gifts, and just, they fell for it.
Yeah.
So watch for that. Some adult doesn't need to be close to your kid.
I don't know if you watched the show
They don't
last
need-
night, but it had I went through 7 articles that went through tons of different tactics that they were using and things to look out for, and how they groom the parents, and they even do stuff with the kid, like touching even when the parents are in the room, but they kind of do it clandestinely. Then the kid feels like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, my parents must trust them too because he's doing it right here in front of them. But it's really,
Yeah. I remember one incident that this child talked about a lot was movie time. This person would set up movies and have blankets out, and they would be doing stuff under the blankets with other family members in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It was a game.
Wow.
They make it into a game as well.
Jeez.
It's just sick.
Monsters out there, everybody. Monsters out there. All right. Well, I'm going to get these. Some other people are trying to call in, but I appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
I think she was a little bit conflicted at times. The thing is this is how you got to be in this one. You either believe in grooming and what they do, or you want to blame Jennifer for something. That's it. All right, hold on. This is great. Who's this?
Hi, Gray. This is Dana from Saskatchewan, Canada. How are you?
How's it going, eh?
Eh?
I don't know if A
Going
is
pretty
what-
good, eh?
I don't know if that, I tried.
Yeah, it was a good effort.
Yeah. Maybe that's North Dakota.
But yeah, I've been watching this case from beginning to very end. You've done some wonderful coverage, and I'm really impressed with your non-biased, non-judgmental, opinion of the situation. With regards to Jen and not knowing what had happened to Maddie, but I was a survivor of SA, and it started as a girl. I started when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I had my brother was 7 years older than me, and so his friends were that much older. So you think 13, 14, 15. My dad was a truck driver, so my dad was away all week. My mother worked full time, so she wasn't home till come later in the evening. So my primary caregiver was my brother, and our neighborhood was all boys. And I was a little tomboy. I wanted to do all the things with these boys. From dirt biking, we would all get together at night, play hide and go seek, around the whole neighborhood, that type of thing. And there were 2 of my brother's friends, one in particular that became very. He not only groomed me till I was 12, but he groomed my parents as well. My parents had no clue until I didn't tell my parents actually till I was 28 years old. Between these 2 boys, but predominantly this one, and it actually grew to an infatuation. I experienced this affection for him, which I didn't understand. I didn't know what was happening, but all I could, it might be sensitive, but all I could understand or interpret from it was, well, if I do this for him, I get to go and play video games, or I get to go and play street hockey, or I get to go ride the motorbike this time. And, there was always a reward system. And this kid, like my parents would allow these boys over for sleepovers. They would we'd be in the living room watching movies and singing, literally my parents would be right there while he was being inappropriate with me underneath blankets and stuff like that. And yeah, my parents were completely obliviated. Like, it wasn't that my parents weren't attentive. They were loving parents. They were busy parents, but they trusted that my brother had these good friends and that they were, you know, they treated them like their own kids.
Wow, it sounds. How long did it last for you?
It was about 6 to 7 years.
Oh, so just a year period of time. And then where that?
No, it started when I was 5 or 6, and went till I was 12.
Oh, wow.
Like, it got to a
years.
point where this boy, it got to a point where this guy, so he was grown. He was a grown man, but, 18 years old by the time I was 12. And he was grooming me to, like, he had a girlfriend, but it was like, oh, but you're going to be my girlfriend.
So you were 12 and he was 18, is what you're saying?
Sorry?
He was 18 and you were 12?
At the end. When it finally stopped.
So how did it end? How were you able to sort of get away from all that?
I confronted his girlfriend, actually, and told her. I didn't know who to tell. I had friends, but I didn't trust anybody. I didn't know who to go to, because of course it was this big secret, and someday we just got to wait just a little longer, and we'll be together, and that kind of manipulation. And but he was, so even he would carry on having girlfriends. His girlfriends would come over to my parents' house to, hang out or whatever. My parents would welcome them in, and here I'm his victim.
Why would he bring his girlfriends over to your parents' house? I forgot who he was.
That selfish. He was that self-assured that I wouldn't say anything.
Well, I mean, how is he related to? Like, why is he bringing?
He was bringing them because he was hanging out with my brother and his friends.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, my brother was the same age, so they would all amalgamate. So he was always just there, just lurking in the background, and for like my parents would always say, "Oh, you're so good with Dana. She just loves you." And they played him up, and I felt like, what, if I say something, they're not going to believe me.
How are you doing now? Are you able to?
I have a lot of childhood, like I have a lot of trauma, but I've done a lot of therapy, and I can kind of attest to what Jen's going through too right now, is the mental health aspect of it. Like, I was diagnosed with BPD and anxiety and PTSD, all those sorts of lovely things. I've been through the psychiatry. I raised 3 children, and yet my youngest child, I went through severe depression after I had her, and I ended up in psychiatric care for a while and really unstable. And I really feel for Jen in this situation, that Maddie's bio dad didn't step up.
Yeah.
I don't blame him, but when she was begging, to be in Maddie's life and wanting him to be in Maddie's life, everybody's saying she's such a terrible mother, but she also struggled with deep mental illness. And
I
when
think there's
people
just a lot
say,
of people. There's a lot of, I think even the psychologists probably, you could blame them for not like recommending, hey, maybe the child needs to be in a different, I mean, the thing is, I get nervous putting a child in foster care. Okay, I think there's a lot of monsters in the foster care systems.
Absolutely.
But maybe they could have looked for the bio father and see what he was up to and if he was interested. But,
yeah. Like, I mean, not to take her out of Maddie, like, Jen didn't do anything terrible as a mom. Yes, some neglectful and very naive, yes, but I think she absolutely loved her child.
I think if Stephen Stearns wasn't around, it just would have been a normal, typical single mother raising a kid, struggling a little bit, but they make it through,
but they would make it through. But I think he held a lot back. He didn't have anything to offer them.
Mm-hmm.
He had absolutely nothing to offer them. No career, no life goals, he had nothing to offer them as a family. So I think he played on her vulnerability huge.
Yeah.
So I really don't. I think the only thing that she's negligent of is being completely naive, thinking, and like you mentioned too, with her relationship with her ex-husband Stephen. I mean, he was proactive about Jen's mental health. He was proactive with helping parent Maddie along with his daughter. It was like they were coexisting in as healthy of a family dynamic as they could at that time. But Stefan had nothing to offer Maddie or Jennifer.
Yeah, no.
In my opinion, obviously, it's a very, very sad situation, and I really do feel for Jen, because I'm sure everybody's been so judgmental. Oh, she's hardly cried. She's done this. She's on so many she's on antipsychotics. She's on antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication. She's not over-medicated. She's just trying to feel normal.
Mm-hmm. Hey, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked up the guy that and see what the guy that was doing that when you were younger, to see if he's ever been arrested?
No, he never has. He ended up being I met him one time.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up working, because I come from my hometown was a very small town, and I hadn't seen this man in 25, 30 years maybe.
Oh,
he just happened to be working in one of our local gas bars, and I walked in, and I think you could have rolled my jaw off the floor. It was just like that.
Jeez, that's
instant
crazy.
panic, that instant, oh my gosh, I sweat, and then I had to go to the cash register because I had to pay for my gas. We didn't have the debit machine or the machines at that time for getting fuel. And then, I was just like, I remember looking, and he's like, oh, hi, Dana, how are you? Like, he was so nonchalant, and I could have just thrown up in my mouth. I was just like, I was shaking. I couldn't even answer him. But he never was ever arrested, but he was arrested for many other things. He'd been in and out of jail for drugs, and he had a really shitty life. So I think karma does get people in the end.
There you go. Well, hey, I appreciate you calling in and telling your story. I mean, I'm glad you got over it, not over it, but like you worked through it, and it seems like you did pretty good yourself. So there you go.
Yeah, I wish Maddie could have had the opportunity. It's very, very sad, but we'll all advocate for her and continue to do so.
Yeah.
Get justice.
Oh, well, I appreciate you calling in.
And thank you so much for letting me use your platform, Gray. You take care.
Well, call in again sometime about something else. All right, cool. Have a
all
good
right,
one.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So when people call in when the when the calls are over. Here's another one. Is this 310 or I can't tell. Hello.
310.
Is this the same person?
Hi.
Oh.
Is this Mr. Gray?
Yeah. Well, it's just Gray. I'm not Mr. Gray.
Yes. I just want to, I'll make this brief. I know there's probably other callers. I do believe, for the most part, Jennifer Soto probably did not believe that he would kill her. And maybe she was stunned by when she found out about the pictures and everything and the sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% about that, but I still don't get why she could not answer the question,
when investigators asked her, what does this text mean about Maddie's not sleeping with me, I can't risk it? That's what I don't get. What is that about?
Which part?
Do you ever talk about that? Sorry?
Can you say that part again? The picture, which... I had to answer a question in the chat really quick. What was the question? I thought you hadn't got to it yet.
My question, Mike, I did put it in the chat a few moments ago. My simple question is, when Jennifer Soto, in one of her interrogations, was asked by investigators, what does the text that you sent to Stefan, I can't, Maddie no longer is sleeping with me, I can't risk it. What does that mean in your opinion?
I don't know what it means, but it meant nothing. You know how we know that it meant nothing? Because detectives went through line by line of all their text messages and could find nothing. So it must, I don't know why, if they were just trying to get her on something, get her off, throw her off a little bit. I don't know what that means. That is, I have talked about that many times, and I've asked people what they think it means.
I'm new to your channel from yesterday, and I've really enjoyed your content.
Oh, cool.
I'll leave you alone because I know there's other callers, but great work, and I'll keep watching. Have a good night.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for calling. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I don't know what it actually means. I mean, you go like this. She's not sleeping with me anymore. I can't risk it. So what would you be risking if somebody isn't sleeping next to you anymore? Like maybe doing a drug or something where you're completely passed out and you have no, like you're not near her. I mean, I don't really know. It doesn't really make sense in any sort of assault situation either. She's not sleeping with me anymore. I can't risk it. I only want you to do that while we're in the same, that doesn't make any sense either. So I don't really know what that means, to be honest with you. This is Gray. Who's this?
Hi, my name's Kelly.
Hey, Kelly, how's it going?
I'm great. I've been sitting on my hands for the last couple of months, watching all the conversations going on with everybody that is kind of, Jen must have known, how could she not know? And I do have personal experience with this, very similar.
Okay.
And I come, interesting enough, I also come from a law enforcement family. And this was, I had 4 kids. I have 4 kids, and they're all would tell you I'm the greatest mom, a very good mom. And I know everybody thinks that she just, like you said, people think, oh, I'm a super mom, and that would never happen to me.
Right.
And I had so many people make comments like that over the years. I'm 65 almost now, so this happened many years ago. And all my children have healed, and we've all been through therapy and everything, but the father was married to him for 14 years, and my father, who is a detective and a cop, and nobody knew. This guy played the soft-spoken kind of underdog victim, always had reasons that he was acting weird.
Well, can you back up a little bit and say, like, who was he? I mean, not his name, but like, what was going on? Is he some like your boyfriend or something, or what? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So my high school sweetheart that I married when I was 20, and then I had 4 kids. We had 4 kids, and he was considered to be charming. Everybody liked him. He never got into any trouble. He always had a job. At some point we became Christians, and part of that was something that Jen Soto has said, where he always played a little bit dumb, and I always felt like I needed to help him understand basic, social things. Like, I'd ask him a question, he'd say, I'm so glad you're so smart. And that was his little tricky way of throwing me off. course whenever I would say, why did you say that? Or why did you do that? Or, just through the years, I would have these intuition feelings like, what's wrong with him? Like, why is he acting weird? And I never could figure it out. He started with one of my daughters when she was a toddler. And she never told. She thought he made her think that she was his special girlfriend, like another wife, that I knew about it. He used scriptures to explain why it was okay. And she's such an advocate for these things now, by the way. She's a really popular musician, and in her song, so what happened is, as time went on, and I was always nursing a kid or having another baby, and then as time went on, he started, we were part of the church. He was around children all the time. Again, close to my family. Nobody knew. Nobody. My dad went into a depression for 2 years.
But he was your husband, right?
Yeah, but my dad, being a cop and not being able to see that this man was doing that. He was a detective, and it just, nobody saw it. Nobody saw it. And what happened is I decided I wanted a divorce, and the reason why was because his behavior did get odder and odder, as far as he was having panic attacks all the time. He would call and not know where he was. Money was always missing. And meanwhile, he's still, being a leader in this Christian church, this very popular Christian church. And I just had it. I was stressed all the time with the money issues. And so this is the point that I'm calling in for, is to say, when we did go the route and try to prosecute him, this was in Kansas, by the way. And he moved us there, and the cops, the sex career, whatever, the cops that handle sex crimes, she explained to me that these guys, they feel invincible the more they get away with it. And every so often, when they start to have anxiety as time goes on. And so they start acting out in weird ways, like, they have some kind of, he thought he had bar syndrome or whatever that's called. And the doctors kept saying, no, you're fine, it's in your head. Or, he just had all the, he felt suicidal. And he always had these emotional issues coming up a little at a time till they got bigger and bigger. And I just couldn't take it anymore. So, I want a divorce. And as soon as I said that, he had fear of being, caught. So he tried to kill me several times, and the cops eventually knew about it. He was running around with this other guy from the church and admitted it, told me he was doing it, because my daughter at that point was 13, almost 14 years old, and she was telling him that she was going to tell on him. She had enough. Now she was in school as a teenager, and she was rebelling, and he started doing the same thing. Yeah. This is her.
So he would have lost control once you got divorced. You wouldn't be able to convince anything. So what's happened to him after that?
Oh, so then I found out. I divorced him, and brought my kids back to California. It was a nightmare. That's another story. I don't even want to. It will just confuse. It was like a scary movie, honestly. And I was able to get my kids and myself to California. The sheriff, my dad's, a sergeant himself. The sheriff, who was a friend of our family, tried to prosecute him, and Kansas would not. The DA would not. He's still a preacher. He's still part of a church. We've many times tried to call and there's, let people know in the church, and there's been different events that have happened like that. He remarried, and she knew. She was in the court. Heard my children had testified against him. I have a permanent restraining order for the rest of our lives, my children and I, from him. But he was never prosecuted here. They tried one time. He came out here, and the cops all tried to get him, and he went back to Kansas. But he's walking free. The church people all thought I was making it up and that my children were lying. But of course, my friends and family all know, and my children we've been through therapy. We've gone through every kind of different thing everybody can imagine. But the point is that I had so many people look me dead in the eye and say, "You must have known. How could you not know?" And well, that'll never happen to me. That'll never happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they groom everybody, as you're saying.
Right.
They groomed my entire family. Everybody loved him. They groomed the entire church. He was around children. Those parents, they were, she's making that up. And the people that testified for him in the court, my attorney was like, what is wrong with these people? It's because they just can't look at it. And I never wanted to look at it either. And that's why it's so rampant.
I always call it like the holier than thou complex. You got all these people who think it would never happen to me, therefore I got to trash the people it happens to be, and it makes me feel better about my own situation because I won't do it. I don't know. I think it's people go overboard in their hate. I mean, I've never, like, when you look at Jen, what is it that she's doing that you hate her so much? Like, what is she doing? She seems like, when you look at her, I feel bad for her. Sometimes she seems like she's upset and then she's not upset and stuff, but that's the medication. But you just look at her and she just seems like really kind of, clueless a little bit, just kind of, we're trying to work through it, what's going on. And I just don't really understand the hate and vitriol that we see. I've never seen, I've seen cases like this. I can't say I've never seen anything like it. This is just dumbfounding to me, the level of hatred for somebody who at this point deserves every single body's support until we hear something that, like, if she gets arrested for something that she knew, then we should all be like, yeah, what a pile. There isn't anything right now, and it actually is disturbing, the reaction of people.
I've been watching so closely. In fact, even watching him, he does that little talk soft, and I just can't remember. He's always trying. He did it with his parents. He mirrors her like, oh, I have ADHD too, and we have to take. He just literally did everything just to get toys and be a pedophile. And when you say this, it's so true. I think I've had a lot of time to think about it all these years. My kids and I have had so many conversations, therapists, etc. People are so afraid of this. It's so awful that they can't even look at the actual predator. They have to turn and say, well, it won't happen to me because you knew and you're a bad person.
Right.
They just can't even see her. They are re-victimizing the victim. Every time that her daughter was raped, she was raped. They don't even realize that. It's the most hideous crime ever. But I think people they want to tell themselves, this can't happen to me, and I can just kind of sit in the back seat and be a backseat driver. She should have done this, she should have done that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing, they think they're doing the right thing. It's the sneakiest thing that's happening, and the internet has made it more that you can, so now this happened to me in the 80s, right? The late 80s is when I found out. So there wasn't computers, they weren't selling pictures on the dark web or whatever like they're doing now. It's like a plague, or what do you call that? It's just this thing that's happening around us, and
kind of like not a plague, but I know what you're saying.
It's huge, and I think that families are all just as busy. Of course, she had a mental illness. I was just having babies and cooking, and I was distracted. Oh, also, it all happened for me. Everything happened at night. He would sneak while I was sleeping, and it would happen at night. And so everybody thinks that, somehow that if they just I was so watchful. I didn't have babysitters. Rarely, because I just was overprotective. I was a cop's daughter. I was always kind of hyper vigilant, and it still happened to me. So I think, and I just know that I never wanted to think it could happen to me at one time. And boy, it's the most humbling thing in the world when it does happen to you.
Do you ever go back in time and realize things that you was doing that you just took for, like, oh yeah, he's just the dad and he's doing this, that when you look back, it probably it was something that maybe like an expert in something would have noticed something? I mean, do you ever think about things like that?
Okay, so there was two signs that I didn't know what they meant, but it was at the end. By the way, this was when the discovery was about to happen. My daughter started hiding her underwear in all different weird places in the house. Like, instead of putting it in the laundry, I would find it under the sink, or just all these weird places. And she started taking my underwear, and I just couldn't understand that. That was just like this one weird thing. I never saw him looking at my children that way. I never saw there was no touching their bodies. He was so sly.
But what was the thing that you would see that you...
Yeah?
Well, what was the thing that you noticed when you think back? It's like, oh man, that was a sign. I just didn't see it at the time.
Okay, but I noticed that were signs were that he was always playing the victim, or whenever I would say, his energy would be weird. Like, he would come home from work and I would just feel like, ooh, like something, what's wrong with you? And he would make up something. And I wish I knew then what I know now, that when somebody is off, you need to trust that intuition. I never would have thought it had anything to do with my kids. I thought he had like some kind of maybe problem out at work, or maybe he had something, maybe it was a porn thing, or like I couldn't ever figure out what was going on with him. He was so clean in his lifestyle. And so that was another thing. He was a chameleon, and he lied a lot, and I didn't understand the lies. They seemed to be like that was the big thing. The big thing for me looking back was that whoever he met, he tried to talk to them as if like he was a politician, like he agreed with them, or he would say something that wasn't even true about himself. And I saw that behavior. And he acted very, he always had something like a disease. He like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm having panic attacks, or, I kept going to the doctor like a hypochondriac, and there was nothing wrong with him. And that's when the detectives, I can tell you more what the detective told me, is that every time these guys do this, they have like a downtime where they have a little bit of fear and anxiety that they're going to get caught, and then it goes away. So they might act weird for a period of time, and then all of a sudden they'll be normal again. And that's exactly what happened year after year.
Wow.
He constantly had these weird, where I couldn't explain. Like one time he wanted me to take all the pictures of these beautiful women off I'm an artist, off the walls, because he felt like it was stumbling him. And I was like, what do you mean? I don't understand that at all. But it was his way of, I had just come home from grocery shopping, and I said, are you okay? What's going on? And he says, you know what, I think he would just make up stuff.
Oh, so that was probably, he would just, while you were gone, he was abusing, you think?
Yeah, he was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now
Right.
I have the whole picture.
Right.
Trust me. Every one of my kids, all of us we have had endless, now it's been, it's wonderful. My kids are in their late 30s, early 40s, so
Yeah.
it's not the topic of every conversation.
It's not very common for, it's not as common for biological parents. It's like, I think 30 times more likely if it's a stepdad than a biological parent, but you got one of those, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think, like you said earlier, they look for opportunity, and so that's definitely. There was something else I noticed. There is something I did notice, and this is something maybe important for people to know. There was 2 different times in the past that made no sense. One was this guy was stalking me in the church, because I'm pretty. I was pretty. I'm older now, but this guy was stalking me, and his therapist, against the rules, called me to let me know. It was a tax man in the church. He's stalking you because he says you remind him of another woman that he was stalking. And so, I got off the phone with her, and I told this husband, I can't even say his name or his word, what happened. And I went to the pastor of the church, and he wouldn't do anything. In fact, he went and sat next to him as if they were friends. And I remember that the other pastors, and I sang in the high school band for the high school students. I was a musician, and he went and sat next to him. And 2 of the other young pastors said, "What the hell is he doing? Why is he there? Why is he sitting next to him?" They wanted to get in a fight with him. They kicked him out. They all surrounded him and kicked him out. My husband just sat there. The second time something like that happened, many years later, because this was many years later, a few years later, all in my 20s this happened, there was a neighbor who was in jail. And this nice old lady lived next door, and her son came home, and I found out from the other neighbors that he was for being for sex crimes against underage children. Mm-hmm. And so I told my husband that I can't even say that. Told him that, and I saw him talking over the fence with him like they were friends. And I was like, how can these are the kind of weird things he would do? How could you do that? Why are you doing that? He's gonna look at our kids. And meanwhile, I had no idea. He was about to be caught, by the way. Like within that year, he was caught.
Wow.
My daughter, as soon as I divorced them and got back to California, it just came out like ticker tape. Started coming out.
Well, hey, I got other people calling in, but I wanted to say thank you for calling in with the story. Everyone's saying how great it was for you to do that.
Thank you, and I really hope people out there would realize, oh my gosh, if you could see my kids, they would tell you. these guys are sly. So please, like, give a little grace. Look at the predator and not the victims.
Right.
Yeah.
There's people that just don't have the ability to do that. But anyways, thank you very much for calling in. Thank you. All right, have a good
Great.
one.
I really appreciate it.
All right,
I really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, there's people in there like, Cindy and others, they just can't, they don't have the ability to give grace for anything because they're so much better than anybody else. All right, so there was somebody who was just calling in. It was like a 509 number if you want to call in now. You got to call in when I'm actually off the, when I'm not on a call. There's no, hold button or waiting or anything like that. No, 508 is the one I was looking at. All right, 508, you're on.
Hi,
Hello, who's this?
this is Trisha from Florida.
From Florida? Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, you're already on the show. What's going on? What do you got?
Hi. Yeah. I just wanted to call in to say the other night when I was watching one of the not your show but this
One of the crazy
strategic
channels
guys,
out there. Yeah. What did you get on that show?
I was kind of upset when I was watching it. Maddie's biological father, he's so nice. He's such a good father.
Mm-hmm.
And he put him down. Strategic guys put him down so bad. It really made me very upset. I don't blame the guy for never to want to talk to anybody again.
He's one of the ones that YouTube promoted. Yeah, that guy, I don't know.
No, it was bad. It was bad. He made him sound so bad. I was in tears. I was so upset.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard him talk to anybody like that.
Well, he wants to be popular. So there's a lot of these people. I could see like some of the stuff that the bio dad was saying that's not like, but he has nothing to do with what happened to Madeline or anything like that. He's the father. He seemed like he was upset, it was his kid and everything. I just don't think any of these other people should be trashed at all because it's irrelevant.
No, but the way he was talking about, Maddie goes to visit him. He's got nowhere else to sleep. Tatiana, she's so nice. She loves that little girl. They put her in the bed with her.
Mm-hmm.
He went out to get a sandwich. She slept on the couch.
They said some weird stuff in there in that call, but I just look at it like what different. It has nothing to do with what Stephen Stearns did. So I just wish people would just go. It's strange.
Everybody knows that he's a good father.
I think the best person though was the stepdad. The stepdad, like the stepdad, was the one that was, I think, the really good guy.
I know that, but another thing too that he complains about him living in Texas, not being able to see Maddie that much. But the thing he didn't mention was the beginning of this whole thing that what's her name? What's the Maddie's mother there? She had her mother got her lawyer and made it so hard for Maddie's father. They ended up made it so hard for him that they ran him out of town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you live in Massachusetts.
So bad, they made his life miserable.
Where do you live?
That's how they ended up having to move to Texas. They didn't mention that at all.
No, I didn't see it. Do you live in Massachusetts?
Me?
Yeah. I'm just guessing.
I come from.
Well, I could hear the accent, like if you said Harvard, right? You'd say Harvard.
I just moved to Florida like 3 years ago.
Oh, there you go.
I lived in Cape Cod.
Oh, nice.
Everybody says that to me.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. Well, the YouTuber that you're watching is one of the new ones that just YouTube, because of certain elements, promoted the channel, and they just go with whatever is popular for everybody else. That's it. So
yeah, but that
doesn't really matter.
I wouldn't doubt if that guy won't talk to anybody ever again. I mean, come on, that was bad. I don't even want to watch him anymore, and I used to like him.
Yeah, well, I don't know why. I don't. It's so strange. These people just pop up and they're just so popular out of nowhere. And I've been doing this for 7 years, and I still don't make it into. I still don't make it into the algorithm. It's like.
Yeah, but I like you. You've never talked to about anybody that bad like that.
Yeah, unless I know, like for example, like Brian Koberger, in the Idaho 4 case. That guy is the killer of all 4 of them. I don't care. It still needs to go to trial and everything like that. But there's factual information in that case, so I'm able to say that that person is the killer, just like I think Richard Allen is the killer in the Delphi case. It's different than when you have nothing, but you want somebody to be guilty, so you start blaming them for something. I don't know what, even if I can understand not liking, like even if you don't like the bio dad, and if you didn't like the stepdad, who cares? It's irrelevant to the case of Stephen Stearns, who groomed the entire family, and he's the one that killed Madeline Soto. There's no reason to even talk about the other people. The only thing I listen to when I'm listening to these parents, these other people, is to try to find some factual information about the case with Stephen Stearns. Anything else they're talking about doesn't mean a damn thing. It's just something else for people to bitch and complain about. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. I hate both of them, Stearns and Jen. Oh my God, I can't.
But the thing is, I'm not like that. I'm not like that with Jen. See, I'm just like with Jen as you are with the bio dad. I think Jen had no knowledge whatsoever. That's the detective said they could find absolutely nothing connecting her to knowing what Stephen Stearns did, and they believe that she had no knowledge of what he was doing because he is a predator and he groomed Jennifer and Madeline, and that's why she didn't know. So you might say, "Oh, I hate her." Well, when you say that, I think of you just like you thought of that creator talking about the bio dad, because there's no reason for you to be saying that about her. You get what I'm saying? There's no factual information at all.
In the beginning of this whole thing, somebody had brought up that she was slapping her around, and Jen sat on Maddie and was trying to strangle her and slap her around, but that disappeared. No one ever said anything that again.
Mm-hmm.
That was on one of the talk shows.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
Somebody had mentioned that her mother was slapping her around, got her on the floor and just trying to strangle her.
Okay. See, you're hearing this on a talk show. I mean, who the hell's saying that? That's not in any documents. It's not in anything.
It was on one of the shows. Well,
don't watch those. Shows. Then don't watch those ones, okay? They're full of shit.
What?
I'm telling you, 95% of YouTube is totally full of shit. Even the 2 YouTubers that just interviewed the parents, I mean, it's a great get and everything, they didn't even ask them the right questions because they too don't like Jennifer and all these things. So they just kind of went along with, wow, now the parents are victims too of Stephen Stearns. They're victims also. Oh, wow. And no, if you don't believe that the mother paid off one of the roommates, that's great. But I believe that the parents of Stephen Stearns knew exactly who he was for quite a long time. They're not blindsided by this. Okay?
Yeah.
And so you can sit there and believe all that crap. But here's how YouTube works, everybody. I'll just say it. I do YouTube, and I put out videos with factual information, and if people want to watch them, they watch them. If they don't want to watch them, which is normally the case, because, I do well on some videos, but if you don't put out what the people want you to say, you get punished for it, even if what you're saying is the truth. Like if I was out here saying, "Oh, Jennifer, man, what a terrible mom, man, I tell you what, she should be charged with neglect. Oh my God." And then I have all these people rushing in so they can have another champion of their cause, and I'm just not going to do it. Okay? So if you want to watch my videos, you can watch them. If you don't, you don't. Okay?
I always watch you.
All right, man.
You and there's a couple other ones I watch.
Yeah, but on this channel, we just put out we try to use probable cause or news articles and put together the case, and sometimes new information comes in that changes, and we move along with that until we get to the place where we got an answer.
Did you see the new one that came out today?
New one what? New case or what?
No, the new thing that they found. The thing in the book.
What do you mean they found? Who's they found what? What are you talking about?
The police found drawings in Maddie's notebook. Oh, they showed it. It's horrible.
No, but that's not new. We showed that on this channel about a month ago. Yeah, the little drawing.
Really?
Yeah, they're images, right? And there's like a picture, stick figures of naked. Yeah, that's old.
Yeah.
That's not new. I don't know what channel. Yeah, see, the problem is that you got these people. Hey, breaking news from a month ago.
That was horrible.
Yeah. No, we've had that for a long time. By the way, in the chat, when did we put out the images of the drawings? Like it was weeks ago, for sure. I mean,
really?
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
I probably had a doctor's appointment and had to go.
Yeah. Oh.
When I gotta go, I gotta go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But anyways, hey, well, look I appreciate you calling in, and I agree with you on some of that stuff. Crazy, right?
It made me upset.
I'm just going to say with you, go with the facts in a case. Don't listen to what if people are just blabbing away, hating something.
Yeah, but
just look at it.
How does it make him feel, though? Think about it.
No, but I mean, I'm even talking about like Jennifer. When people sit there, go, oh, look, and they just kind of insinuate something. What you need to turn to them and say, you know what? All these interviews that we were just listening to are from February and early March. Then, Stephen Stern's dad called for a meeting on like July 16th and went all the way to Kissimmee to discuss the case. This is only 2 months ago with the detectives, and they told him straight out that they do not believe that Jennifer was part of anything with Stephen Stearns, nor did she have any knowledge at all, because they looked through every single bit of digital information. They've interviewed tons and tons of people. They've interviewed her tons of times, and they found nothing. Now, if you want to, everyone wants to believe she's a mastermind, a genius hiding as a behind the veil of being somebody with mental issues, then you go right ahead, but she isn't. She had nothing to do with it. She knew nothing at this point. Now, if some document is recovered at some point, then we can all go, there it is, boom, and I'll get punished for it because people go, see, Gray, I was right. And I'll say to you, you were just lucky because there was nothing when you thought that. It's irresponsible for people to think that at this point.
I'll tell you, so many people out there hate her. She better watch out when she's out in public.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I just think this is it's really disappointing, and I mean it's part of the state of true crime on YouTube. It's sensationalism wins the day. They get all the views, and everybody loves it, and they're always wrong, but everyone goes right back to them again because it's fun. You know, for me, true crime is like a thing that you're really trying to figure stuff out and put out accurate information so that people have a place to go to for, you know, accurate information. I mean, that's how I look at it. You don't have to be that way. People can watch whatever the hell they want. Okay.
Yeah. When I was young, I was only like 5 years old. I had my babysitter. She was disgusting. She sexually molested me. I think I was young. It was horrible. She'd tell me to go in the closet, and I had a big surprise for you. Go in the closet, and I'll tell you when to come out. Then she'd close your eyes when you come out. So she'd tell me to come out, and she'd maybe go in the bed with him, and it was terrible. I never told. My uncle was a priest. He passed away, but he knew there was something wrong with me. I couldn't tell him. I know how mad he was not being able to tell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know what it's like not to be able to tell. And I never told anybody. I couldn't even tell my uncle, which, like I said, was a priest. I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
He asked me. He knew there was something not right about me, but I just kept saying, I'm all right.
Yeah.
What
Wow,
can you
well,
do,
I'm sorry you had to
you
go
know?
through that. Jeez.
Huh?
Sorry you had to go through that. It sucks.
I know.
Yeah.
But I was lucky because one day when my mother came home from work early, I guess she was wearing my mother's clothes. My mother flipped out and got rid of her. That was the happiest day of my life.
Yeah. Well, well, listen, I don't mean to. I just want to say thank you for calling in and talking about these things, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. All right.
No.
So call in again on another show. Maybe we cover lots of different cases here. Don't make this the only one that you're interested in. All right.
I watched a few of them.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for calling in. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening.
All right. Go back to Harvard. I'm just kidding. See you later.
Go back.
I'm just joking. Back to Boston as well. Boston.
No, I'm in Ocala.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Is there any chance you guys can help support the channel tonight? We're only at 50%. It's becoming sort of the norm lately. If you guys have the ability to help support the channel, that'd be great. We're currently only at 99.93, and our goal is 200. Because at the end of the month, I give away thousands of dollars also from the income. We've already given $1,000 away already during this month to, I think it was Knickknack and Tunnels to Towers, 500 each. So I need you guys' support in here. You can leave a super chat and a comment, something like that. That would be great. Also, thank you. There's a couple of people. There's a Cash App from Mary, and then there is Laura, Carla, Cassandra, and I think your Gypsy, if I remember that right, or Susan, I guess. All right, so thank you. Those are PayPals. But please help support the channel, you guys. We got to keep on moving forward. It's pretty easy when you have 370 people to reach a goal like that. It's like 60 cents a piece. All right. Yeah, call back in that number. I was just about to click on it, but it disappeared off the screen. I thought it was ridiculous, that Kylie Rodney thing, how they use exactly what I did and then they pretend that they came up with it. It was so stupid. Yeah, this is a different number. I was waiting for that one to do it again. But all right, 909.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
What's going on?
I'm calling from California.
Yeah, cool.
I may be one of the only people that have a different perspective on this whole situation, and I don't think I have.
Huh? What?
Yes. Hi. Is this Carrie? Yes. Hi.
Well, what happened? What happened? I was just talking to somebody else, and it just switched over. That was weird.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know. I don't know. Do you want to go back to that person?
Well, I don't. They're not calling. If they call in again, I'll take it. But 909, you got to call in again really quick. I'm just not sure what happened. I was in the middle of a conversation, and then it just.
Oh, that is odd.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, should I move forward or no?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, this is my first time actually listening to your show. I'm a survivor of incest. My abuser was my biological father. I had other abusers as well, but from my perspective, that's the one that's really impacted me the most. Despite that, I really appreciate what you're saying about Jen, because I have, because I guess I used to live in Orlando for about 20 years, and there are, I guess, characteristics of Maddie's living situation that remind me somewhat of mine. And I just definitely agree with you that, unless you've lived it, it's just really difficult to articulate and explain how groomers, just how skilled they are at gaining trust. And most people don't, even if you're looking for it, I mean, most people aren't looking for that. It's only when you're aware of maybe some red flags. But it's just, like in my case, my father was the likable one of my two parents. My mother was, you know, kind of withdrawn and not always real friendly to other people. So, I mean, very often I think the abusers, they're charming, they're funny, they're nice, they're talented, and just everything like the former wife of the, you know, that had the 4 children that were molested by her husband was explaining. It's just, and especially I think of that in that era, you know, people just didn't talk about it. My mother was molested too as a child, not by anyone in her family, but people didn't talk about it then. And even when I, just like I think like the caller before the last one explained, like for me, I think I finally felt free to say something when my parents were divorcing. But before that, I just always was afraid that if anyone knew, not if I were to say anything because I wouldn't have, but if anyone found out, that I would be blamed for ruining my parents' marriage. You know, that's thinking of a child. But despite that, I really listened to, I think, every tape that's out there, I think, with, you know, the interviews with Jen and everything that I could on that case. And I don't know, but I don't see evidence that she was involved. And in fact, a lot of her answers, they just correlate exactly to what she claimed that she did, you know, like little things.
And if she was trying to hide something, here's the thing, everybody. She says these things, and everybody punishes her for what she's saying. But if she was trying to hide something, she wouldn't have said any of those things. I mean, they're like these things like,
right.
You know, she says, like, oh, yeah, I sent them upstairs. Why does anybody need to know that they were sent upstairs? She's telling the truth. Now she realizes that, like, she was like, wow, I can't believe I, you know, fell for that, you know. Why would she say it? Why not just keep it and say Stefan is lying? Yeah, Maddie's not alive. She could just say that Stefan Stearns is lying. I never said that. I fell asleep and he took her upstairs. You know, she could have just lied about that, right? Instead, she doesn't do that. You know?
Right. And it is it's troubling to me because I think Jen, I don't know this, but I mean, my impression of her is that, I mean, obviously she's had some trauma as a young adult, but I think, to me, she feels like someone who's had trauma of some kind, possibly sexual abuse as well, as a child. And I know they redacted a lot when she was talking about those issues. And it's none of our business, you know. But she just strikes, I forget his name, I think Dr. Gary Brigado.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I don't watch, I don't pump other channels.
Well, anyway, he doesn't have a channel, but he's an expert on, you know, murderers and forensic, you know, like people who are deviant and abnormal.
Isn't he? Well, no, but isn't he the husband of a YouTube channel? Like he's part of the channel, right? Yeah.
Oh, not that I'm aware of, but if so, I apologize. But not that I'm aware of. I'm not aware of him having a channel, but you know, I just know I've seen him as a guest here and there. But okay. Anyway, my point is just that, you know, he said, and other experts have said that, like, the way that Jen communicates, because everyone says, oh, she's so weird, she's so, you know, they don't like the way she expresses herself. Well, apparently that is symptomatic of people who have experienced trauma, you know, as children. And also there was someone else that, and I'm not familiar with this, but there was a nurse who said that she reminds her of patients that she's had that have something called a thought disorder, which I'm not familiar with. But I think it reminds me a lot, like everyone's reaction to her reminds me a lot of when, you know, the Gainesville murderer, Danny Rawlings, murdered all those students in Gainesville, Florida. And initially they arrested this very mentally ill young man because of the way he acted, because they found him suspicious, and it wasn't him. And I feel like she's being judged and hated on
just because she does have some mental issues and some thought issues, and she's not, she is not neurotypical. She's atypical, and I've never been on the medications that she's on. I'm ADHD, but I mean, she seems like she has a lot more going on than that. But from what people say, I have a brother who's bipolar. His whole life went upside down once he started being affected by that. Completely upside down, like from super successful to like he lost everything. So I mean, and the medications they're on, I mean, they have to sometimes go on so many different medications to try to find something that works. And like the way she is about her sleep, I mean, everyone, give her a hard time about that, but sleep is very important to your health, and especially when you have mental health issues. I mean, so anyway, I just appreciate you. You're like really the only the only host or channel anywhere that I've heard speak up for her. And I'm just kind of getting sick of listening to people.
I find that just weird. I think it's weird that I'm the only one. Like why it just seems so obvious that, like, I mean, if you go through and you look at what these predators do and how they act and all the stuff that they do, you could just look at her and go, how come people keep going after her over and over and over again when she's like the classic parent that's groomed by a predator, and predators look for people just like her, a little bit more needy,
right,
have some problems, they need somebody to help around, and they have a young child, and he just worked the whole long game grooming all those years until he got what he wanted. I mean, it's just it's so clear. And the detectives are now saying they could not find anything and believe that she was not aware. And shouldn't that be enough? Instead, people believe that they have more knowledge by watching a couple interviews than these detectives have that were in all those interviews and have done a hell of a lot more than any of us have done, right? So it's very frustrating for me. Yeah.
And it's, the interviews have come out a little bit at a time, and I guess it's taken a while for, that last that interview with Chris Stearns, and that's where I heard that as well, that they don't believe that she was aware of the essay, and they don't believe she was involved or aware of the murder, and I think it comes across pretty clearly in that final interview with her, like when they were asking her, like, I mean, you could tell the detective at that point thought she might still know where Maddie's body was.
Mm-hmm.
But if she did, why would she have been offering all these ideas,
Oh, to throw them off, to make it look like she was thinking of something. She's a mastermind,
right.
Yeah.
I think it's very sad, and I just hope that, I think eventually, the evidence will support that and people will get beyond it, but I just feel bad for her, anyone like her that's in that situation, because as you said, she's a perfect victim as a parent. She's exactly what someone like that would look for. Because she's vulnerable.
What do you think about, I think the thing that, I wish everybody would just drop the whole Jen thing and just start focusing in on Stephen Stearns and all the stuff he was doing, because, I mean, I think that there is a possibility there could be more to all this. I mean, like I said before, he was on Telegram at 11:49. That's about 49 minutes after they were sent upstairs. And then just the other day, I was looking at the FBI. They arrested this woman that lived in Kissimmee who was an online predator. And guess what? I looked her up, and she was on Telegram also at some point. So then you start wondering, is there some kind of a network of people in the area, and were they trading images? Were some of them making money? Did he do something to Maddie that last night because somebody wanted it, or like maybe an actual killing of a child, which is actually a thing, if you can believe that, on video, and they want to watch it. Perhaps that's out there. Maybe there was something, maybe he thought she was pregnant. I mean, there's a million different things to think about, but I don't know.
I hope
it's just frustrating.
I hope that at some point the focus, at least like in the public realm, goes to him, because that's where it should be.
Yeah.
That's where it should be.
Yeah, I mean, everybody should be focused on, I mean, Seven Sterns, I know it makes it more entertaining and interesting, and it's still interesting to listen to Jennifer, because then you might, learn a little bit more about what he was doing and tactics that Stephen Stearns was using, and then maybe that can help inform somebody else out there that might be in a similar relationship with a boyfriend, and you just weren't, he seems like a normal person, but now you might notice something that would have set off an alarm, wouldn't have set off an alarm until you heard about it, something like that.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways,
yeah. And
I'm rambling.
Well, just I guess something you just said too. The other thing I wanted to say was, like, as far as the focus being on Jen. I mean, ironically, so often the victim of sexual abuse is the one that's blamed. I mean, that happened to me, by different people in different places and different family members on other sides of the family, and so I don't know. It's just really bizarre. They're really good. The predators are really good at making people think they would never do something like that. A lot of them are. Just the same way, like, all of the witnesses that were interviewed, they were all shocked and they couldn't believe that he did it. Now, we see him and we know him as a predator, but in the day-to-day life, the roommates, Jen, there were multiple people who didn't think he would do that. So obviously he had a way of presenting himself that he made them feel that he was safe.
Yeah,
even though he wasn't.
Yeah, no, that's what his whole goal was. I think over time he just slowly tried different things and groomed Maddie on the side as well, so that she wouldn't say anything, and therefore when he was given the opportunity to do certain things, there would be no complaints from Maddie, therefore it was safe to do, right? So then he would continue to do it, and then probably progressed over time. It was really kind of interesting doing the research and reading about all these different, I mean, I'm sure there's even more in-depth studies out there. I just was going over those articles. It was pretty interesting yesterday.
Well, and another characteristic, because I mentioned that, some of the characteristics of what he did remind me of my father. And I mean, I adored my father. I mean, coming to terms with that as a young adult broke my heart, because I loved my father. But somewhere along the way, his love for me became twisted. And, they're just, my father was very skilled at triangulating. Like, he was able to kind of, put a wall up between myself and another one of my brothers, and my mother. So I would have never told my mother, and I mean, they're just really, I guess when Stephen Stearns said, oh, well, I'm the one that Maddie comes to, when she's upset and she's had a fight with her mom. Well, of course he is, because that's how he gets her. He lures her in, and he makes her, I'm sure he was her confidant, and that she felt safe, that she could trust him. And that's what they do.
Yeah, jeez.
So,
wow. Well, I appreciate you calling in with your story and, just the conversation. Appreciate it.
Okay, well, thanks for taking my call, Gray.
All right, we'll call in again sometime about something else. Maybe.
Okay, I will.
Okay, thank
all right,
you.
Okay, all right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, call in, Amy. I'm waiting for the area code. So you just dial those numbers on the screen, and I'll get that one. Doom, 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 doom. That's interesting, these calls. And I kind of figure, I think this is more common than we sort of thought. I was kind of shocked the other day when it said like 3 out of 10 women or something, girls. I mean, like, that's a ridiculous percentage, Okay, waiting for the 903 area code. Don't see it yet. Had a couple other callers right there, but I don't want her. I wanted to get that one. Sounds like it might be interesting. What'd she say? Yeah, 903, right? Yeah, I didn't think. Well, I thought there's a lot of people that have stories. I just didn't think that many would call myself. Mm-hmm. Well, this account, I'm waiting for somebody else. I keep getting the same one. I'm waiting, but I think I'll have to take this one because this person keeps calling over and over. All right, 347, you're on. Hello?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you got to turn down the audio in the background.
Okay, I have to turn it off. Hold on. Okay, I have a similar story concerning Maddie Soto case. Concerning my daughter. My daughter has been sexually molested by her father. In the beginning, when she had told me this, I was in denial. I didn't believe it. And I couldn't believe that her father was doing this to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, and she started getting upset with me, and she started crying with me because her father was such a great father to her and to my kids, to my other kids. So it was so hard for me to believe it. So she was like kind of mad at me. She was like, "Mommy, and it's true. My father was doing this to me." And then she was mentally affected by this, and she turned into schizophrenia. She had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. I'm a little bit nervous. Okay, she had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, and she had been sent to the mental hospital for a lot of years. And right now, I lost her forever. She had not passed away, but she has still in the mental hospital. She's like a young adult, and she's still been affected by what her father did. The worst case scenario would happen to her father. And when she was 5 years old, that's when I started noticing that she was sexually abused. She had bruises on her private area, and then I said that to my ex-husband. That time we were still married. I said to her father, look, Crystal has these bruises, and right away he blamed my son, and he was saying blaming my son Carlos that Carlos did that to her. Carlos was my son was only 8 years old. Oh, 8. And I believed her. I believed him. That's how manipulative these people are, these predators. I believe that they are really perfect liars. I believed him. That, okay, Carlos did that to Crystal, And so I automatically believed him. So, and then my daughter right now, she's 31 years old. She's still in a mental hospital. She's strongly being affected. When she was in a mental hospital, she wrote a little book what her father did to her, and I was like stunned. I couldn't believe it. I was in shock that he was touching her, but he was touching her aggressively, and it was so disgusting. And the thing is, the worst case scenario, the worst thing possible. Okay, he used to do the Tang drink, the juice Tang drink. So he was doing that because I was in charge of cleaning and washing dishes. And I said to my ex-husband, do the Tang drink after he did the Tang drink. Before they drink the juice drink, my kids, after they drank it, they started yawning. And after I drank it, I started yawning.
Oh, wow. So he was drugging you guys. There was a guy in Oregon. He had a sleepover just recently. The guy in Oregon, he had a sleepover with his daughter and his, I think her friends, and he drugged them all. And he was going to do something, but one of the kids kind of woke up and called the police, and then he got arrested. It was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
So the thing is that we used to go to sleep early at 10:30 10 o'clock in the evening, and then they used to wake up so sleepy at night, especially my ex-husband and my daughter Crystal. So sleepy, and like, what? I mean, I put them to sleep we all go to sleep at 10 o'clock at night, and they wake up so sleepy, like if they had like 3 hours sleep or 4 hours of sleep. How can that be possible? Because we will all go to sleep at 10 o'clock in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was so strange. The thing is that I strongly believe that he put something in the drink for all of us to go heavily asleep. Like that he could sneak out of my bed at 3 o'clock in the morning or 2:30 in the morning, or whatever, nighttime, and like then I don't notice. And I noticed that he never drank that same drink. That orange drink, he never drank it. All of us drank it, but he never drank it.
And that's your husband. This is your husband, right?
Yeah. Yeah, my ex-husband. Yep.
Was he a
So he
stepdad of the kids, or was he biological?
Yeah, biological. Yep.
So did you? What happened at the end? Were you ever able to? Were they able to find out that he did something, or?
Yeah, he went to. My daughter went to a mental hospital, and she was always having intermittent nightmares. And so the social worker told me that she was obviously sexually abused because she had talked about it a little bit, and she was having constant nightmares about that.
Wow.
And so that was strong signs that she was sexually abused. So, and the only person that she blamed was her father. And the thing that gets me so mad, like she was telling me that, and I was defending him. You know, I was like, I blame myself. You know, then I help her because I was defending him. You know, I saw how nice he was with the kids and everything, and how can that be possible? And I used to say to my daughter, I think you're exaggerating. I think you're lying. You know, and because they are so, they know how to act. These people, these predators, they know how to act, and they know how to. They deserve an acting class, you know, acting certificate, because they're great actors. They know how to deceive people. They know how to, and I strongly believe also, and not believe, but suspect that Stefan really gave Jen something in her drink, you know, to sedate her a little bit more.
Yeah, you might be right about
more
that.
heavily asleep, like that. She could be all the way asleep during the night, and she couldn't hear nothing. Because if my ex-husband did that, because he did that for my kids and myself, he did put something in the.
Yeah, well, I think he definitely drugged Madeline, so maybe he did sneak a little something extra into Jennifer's. You know, I don't know if it's a drink or whatever, but maybe added a little bit extra of what she normally takes, and then it made her really groggy and out of it.
Yeah.
But
so,
well, wow, that's crazy.
Well, I strongly suspect that he did.
Yeah.
That's both of them, to Madeline and Jennifer, to both of them, because if my ex-husband did that to us, and if my ex-husband did that to us, and I heard that he was Stefan, when he was in high school, he put like semen in the bath and in the girls' juices for them to get pregnant.
Yeah, remember that? Well, that was from my interview. That's why people know about that. Yeah, it's crazy. So there's no way the parents didn't know something. They knew there was something wrong with that guy. But anyways. Well, hey, I'm going to get these other callers, but I appreciate you telling your story. Jeez, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
How are you doing now?
I do so for you. Yeah.
Are you doing better now, or? You guys doing well now? Your family?
Yeah, because you know, my children's father, well, the one that did these crazy stuff, well, he passed away a month ago, and now I'm going through counseling because that's affecting me a lot. Because I forgot. I kind of forgot what happened to my daughter, But then Madeline case came up, and oh wow, all these memories flooded back.
Yeah.
All these memories flooded back with about my ex-husband, about my daughter, and then I started screaming and crying all of a sudden because I was thinking about the case. And when I'm cleaning, I'm crying, but I'm thinking about what happened to my daughter. That hit me hard. The case of Madeline, that hit me really hard because of my daughter,
Yeah, made you remember.
Yeah, really, really hard. And then my daughter's picture when she was in Head Start, she was so sad, and I didn't see it. That's why I'm going to counseling, psychology sessions and everything, because I didn't see these signs. My daughter, her 5-year-old picture in the Head Start, she was so sad, and she had bags under her eyes, and I didn't see that in the past. That's how blinded I was with my ex-husband. You see, that's why Jen was easily blinded by Stephen, because these guys, they're good actors. They are great actors and deceivers.
Well, there you go. You nailed it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to get these other calls, but hey, I appreciate you calling in and telling your story, man. That's sounds like you were sort of like Jennifer back then, a little bit.
Yes. I was in denial. I was in denial.
Yeah.
So I don't blame her that she's in denial, because these guys, they are really great actors. They're great deceivers. They're great manipulators also.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to play mind games to women. They know how to do that.
Okay.
So that's why.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I did a whole show last night. I don't know if you watched it, but you should go listen to that one. But
okay.
Well, thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
Yes. I'm glad you picked up my phone call. Thanks so much. Thanks.
Well, thanks for calling in and sharing. Appreciate it. Man, that's crazy. All these different stories. So right now we're waiting for Amy, the 909, or what is it, 903 area code. All right. Might take a minute because you guys are like 30 seconds behind me talking. So she might not know that it ended yet, but... And thanks everybody for calling in. I know it takes, it's hard to talk about stuff like that. It takes courage to call in. Well, she broke up with him for other reasons, Kara. I know that you just want to keep going and going. It's getting kind of old now, though, at this point. It's getting old. You sound like Cindy. Are you out there, Amy? The line's open just for you. Nope, there it is. I think that's it. 909, is that right? Hello, this is Grape.
Hi.
Is this Amy?
No, actually, I called earlier, but my call got
Oh,
cut
you were
off.
the 909 that got cut off. Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. The timing's not working out. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm
It was
calling
903.
from California.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to say, I completely sympathize with Jen, and I'm very happy to see that somebody is doing something where they're not just bashing her, because it just does kind of it's hurtful, the woman's already going through so much, and I'm sure she feels guilty, and on top of that, having to constantly, know that everybody despises her so much for her mistakes,
That's weird.
It's heartbreaking. I mean, myself, just a quick little rundown. I was in a relationship where I was love bombed. The guy, it was insanity, and I had a daughter, 3 years old. He wasn't. He was physically abusing her, and I had no idea. But I started not heavy drugs, but I was smoking weed with him. I had never done it in my life, and sometimes I was so out of it, and I was so deep in that I wasn't really paying much attention. And my daughter started like not wanting to stay with me. She wanted to stay with my mom. And she even told my mom, I don't want to go because he's mean to me. And I was still like, my self-esteem was so low. He was like loving, affectionate. So I kind of was like in that, like in a hole, you know, I was stuck in that. And it wasn't until she was about 6 years old that I went to a party with him, and it was like a family gathering. And I caught him, and he scratched my daughter's back and had hurt her, like she was bleeding. And at that moment, I just, you know, I let it go, and I ended that relationship. But it took that many years for me to finally realize it. And we don't know what the person's going through. I've gone through a lot of trauma in my life. So I can't judge somebody based on that, because if we all were judged on our parenting, we'd all be in trouble. All of us.
Yeah, but they would have noticed something like that, because they're awesome. They're way better. The holier than thou crowd. That's what I always call it. You know?
Yeah, and if she was guilty of anything, was just like I was guilty of not paying attention to what was going on with my daughter. And fortunately, it wasn't to that extreme, but I still live with that guilt.
But does it really make you guilty? I mean, you just didn't notice something. I mean, if you intentionally didn't do something, that's where I get angry. When somebody intentionally does something that leads, like in terms of like, they know that it's something that is going to lead to something negative. Like her sending them up to go to sleep, she sends them up there, but she doesn't think that something's happening because he's groomed the situation over time. It became normal, and Maddie never said anything. I think even when pressed, she probably never said anything, because that's how Stephen Stearns groomed her to be. So for them, it was normal in that family, even though it sounds totally ludicrous to other parents out there.
I could see it like this. I could see that perhaps she needed somebody because she didn't have that comfort. And I know a lot of people say just the bio dad and stuff. My daughter, her biological dad hasn't been in her life. He knows where I live. I have never stopped him from seeing her. He always will say, oh, I don't have money. The excuses, that's up to him and his responsibility. But just because, you know, he hasn't been there. You know, my daughter's going to be 23 years old, and I still live with the guilt. And I still tell her, hey, you want to go see your dad? I don't have communication with him. But if she says one day she wants to have a relationship with him, that's okay with me too. Now, I think that with Jen, she trusted him to the point that he maybe told her, I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I'll help you with her. You want to take a nap? I'll watch her for you.
Right,
maybe
exactly.
you want to go get your nails done. And that's where the bond, you know, the trust came in.
And Maddie never said anything, so it seemed like everything was totally normal.
She didn't want to ruin it for her mom. She didn't want to, like, cause problems. Probably.
Well, I think, but he might have said other things,
Oh,
too.
yeah, definitely groomed her, definitely. Without a doubt. And in regards to, I did want to say that I don't think that she had anything to do with it, because the bottom line is this. If she was a part of what he was doing, he knows what he did, therefore that's why he was hiding, and that's why he took it to that extreme. If she was a part of it, she would be, if she was complicit in that, she would be just as complicit in trying to hide her body, because she wouldn't want to get caught.
I'm going to add this person so that I don't miss the call, but they're just going to be on the line, I think. So
I mean, it's just a quick little thing. I did want to come in and just, you know, I'm grateful to finally see something that gives me some peace of mind, because sometimes when I do go on to this, I believe most are really entwined into this, you know, true crime. But the fact of the matter is, it gets so toxic, and it starts to affect us mentally and emotionally, and, you know, we become ugly, and you know, it's unfortunate that humanity is this way. But
well, it gets toxic.
It's amazing to see.
I mean, it's weird too, because sometimes it even gets toxic in here, because I'm saying that I don't see anything. I mean, there's some things that were sort of bothersome, but at the same time, I can see it's just totally explained away, most of it, by his grooming, etc., but people just can't stand it, because they 99% of the true crime YouTube community, they're just catering to their viewers, you know, the main viewer opinion, which is absolutely incorrect. But they want to do it because it's just a feverish pitch, and they do well financially because of it. I actually get punished financially when I take a position like this that goes against the grain because people, they don't watch as much. Like, I only have 349 people watching. If I was one of the haters, I would have probably 2,000. You know, I get all these people in there. Yay! Look at that! Yeah, let's keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe 1,000 or
Well, I'll
something.
tell you, you have better sleep than all of them, I'm sure.
I mean,
You could sleep with it clean, you know.
Yeah, no, it doesn't bother me. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's kind of a shitty thing about YouTube, how that works like that. But
Exactly.
you know, it's just is what it is.
Well,
Yeah.
I do appreciate you taking the call.
Well, thank you for calling in. You finally got back.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I'll be listening.
Okay. All right.
Have a good
one.
night.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
So, are you there, Amy?
I'm here. Sorry
there
about
it is. 469, not 903. Okay.
that. I forget I'm on a cell phone, not a home phone.
And thanks again for the last caller too. Thanks for sharing your story. I think you have to turn down the audio in the background because we're echoing. You just got to use your phone like a phone, no speaker phone.
Okay, yeah, I did just now. I just forgot. I minimized the screen, and I just forgot to check out of it. I just wanted to this whole topic. It just cuts home for me. I have 3 kids. My middle son, who's now a grown man, but he was molested by a male family member on his dad's side, but it was another juvenile, and so the grooming. It was generational in that family, and unbeknownst to me at the time, I wasn't groomed by the child or anything to have this happen. He just sort of pounced at the opportune time on my son when the opportunity arose, and I didn't know anything about it. My son hid it very well, but I could tell in the change, and my son was 5 at the time, and I could tell by his attitude changes and stuff that something was going on, something wasn't right, and it just took me every night for about a week prodding and keeping on. Tell me what happened, when he finally just broke down and cried and told me. And I was just shocked. I went to the family first and to the child and to confront them and say, this is what's been told to me. It just so happened, though, that another young adult in that family knew what had happened, and she went to the police before I got a chance to. And the police became involved, and of course we went through all of this counseling for years, and my son was okay until he hit puberty, and then it just all went downhill from there. But I learned through that process how that grooming had been done to the person that was molesting my son. He had been molested as a younger child, and he used the same tactics that his abuser had used on my son. He was telling him that, his dad had just really went to prison, and he was like, your dad's going to get out of prison and kill you and your mom if you tell anybody what happened. And so he was terrified to say anything. And I can see where this young man was 15 at the time, but he had fooled everyone around him in a way that nobody was aware at all of the things he had been doing to younger children the whole time, right in their face. Well, I say they didn't know. I don't know if everyone in the family was oblivious to it, but I never knew, and I was around him a lot. And so I see where it would be very easy for a very gullible, vulnerable person like Jen. I don't know her or anything about her. I'm just saying, if someone were not already mentally stable enough to handle some things like this, I can see where they would very easily fall under the spell of someone who was trying to pull something over on them like that. And I get aggravated when I see people just sticking to the whole Jen was the one at fault and she should have never. Yeah, nobody should let their young daughter sleep with even their biological father that way and cuddle like that, like what they were saying, what Stephen was saying. But at the same time, why focus on just her doing that? Okay, it happened, it's done. The police aren't thinking she was involved further, so just focus on how to keep this from happening to other children.
And but also, and the thing is, you can kind of, if you go back to grooming, he made it seem normal. That's why she did it.
Yes,
so even though it's weird for other people, he made it seem okay for them to sleep together. So she
Yes.
would use that sometimes if she needed extra sleep or something. You know, but it wasn't like, oh, she just didn't believe he was doing anything.
Yes, and clearly his own mother and stepfather, I'm assuming that's his stepfather, were saying in these interviews that they were given that, well, yeah, when they came and stayed at my house, they slept in the same bed, and he would, I think the mom made a comment about how she mentioned something about how whatever relationship that Stefan had with Maddie, she felt like it was uncomfortable. She knew in her head, because I guess his history had given her thought that he might be doing inappropriate things and that this isn't probably something he should be doing with this child. That's not his biological child. Not that that would matter, but so people knew, but he had everybody around him thinking that he couldn't possibly do anything but care for this child. And you know, people need to be really, really aware that, I don't know, that just letting, I don't know, it's just odd to me, like the stepfather that called in, Maddie's stepfather that called in, you could really tell, you know, he was really more emotional about this than the biological father, who had intermittent at best relationship with Maddie.
Well, the stepfather really knew Jen really well, and was a father of Madeline for years, and really seemed like he loved Madeline.
Yeah.
So.
And he and like you said, he had even groomed that man to an extent, because that's what they do, is they try to get everybody around them to believe one thing about them, but behind the scenes, that's not them at all. It's, you know, wolf in sheep's clothing. It's really awful.
Well, maybe we can talk about your story.
Focusing on that part of it.
Can you tell us more about like your story, like things that you noticed or in your situation?
Yeah. I had 3 kids, and I have 3 kids, and they were little. They were like 6, 5, and 2. And I had my aunt had passed away, and I went to a funeral, and I left my children in the care of their dad's family while I was at this funeral for the weekend. And that's when it happened. So out of the blue, my son didn't want me to give him, I used to give them a bath. You know, he was still 5, so I would like run his bath water, make sure he got in it good, make sure he cleaned under his arm and all that. And he didn't want me coming in there and doing anything in the bathroom. And I was like, what do you mean? And so just the behavior, parents can pick up on that behavior. I say parents, but again, if you're a person that's not mentally stable and you're on all of these heavy meds, like maybe Jen was, she was just, like you said, not focusing on anything except for making sure her mental health was okay.
Yeah.
You know, she felt like she had to take these meds or it was the be-all for her.
Mm-hmm.
Where in my case, I instantly knew something's not right here. Something's going on. And I just kept, and I had no idea. I wasn't even thinking that it was something like that. I was just thinking, you know, why are you so skittish in the bathroom all of a sudden? Why are you not wanting me to even help you take your clothes off and get ready for a bath? What is going on here? And he just clammed up, and he was a very bright, very intelligent child. He was tested into the SAGE classes at school, which is the talented and gifted. And for years, I'm talking from the age of 5 until probably about 8 or 9, we were in counseling. Like, I'd take him to a psychiatrist because he would do play therapies. And he really did. He thrived as a little child till he hit puberty. And puberty does, I guess maybe the hormone changes in people, it affects what happens to them. And he went downhill. He started using drugs and acting out and skipping school. And literally, it took him getting into the legal system for me to get him the help that he needed at the time. Because I just couldn't afford private, care and all that crap. But whenever they had arrested, what they did was the perpetrator in our situation was 15, and they arrested him, and he went to the youth prison here in Texas, and he stayed in youth prison until he was, I want to say he was 19 when they paroled him out as an adult.
How were they able to figure out who was the perpetrator?
He told me finally after about probably 5 days of prodding and just henpecking him to death about what was going on. I'm not trying to be political or religious or anything, but what worked for me is one night when we were getting ready for bed, I told him when we were saying our prayers, I said, you know, everything that gets done, Jesus tells me when I go to sleep at night. And so one night this week, he's going to tell me what happened. And that just sort of worked for my son. And he was like, Mommy. And then he told me, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. And so we went immediately. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I put the kids in the car and we went down to that house, and I woke, it was 10 o'clock at night, so they were already all in the bed, and I woke them up, and I was like, we're going to talk about this now, not later, and we're going to be talking to some authorities because this is not okay what's happened. The things he described to me that were done, he could not have known these things. So I knew instantly that it was true, and he described things about the perpetrator that I knew that it was that was who it was, but he wasn't lying about it. Physical trait things. Not that I knew what the 15-year-old physical traits were. I'm not trying to say that part, but
yeah, but here's what people should say. How dare you leave your kids with family members? You know, I mean, you left town. That's what they do to Jen.
It's the worst part. You never know.
Because you can't trust guys. There's no way to trust you. You can't trust any men at all. I heard it today. All men are not to be trusted. Yeah.
Even children, because this was a generational abuse situation.
Yeah.
After it was all said and done, after about, literally they had a grand jury. Actually, in all honesty, I'll be honest, local CPS authorities and the DA and them, they took, they didn't remove my children from my home, but they did remove two of my sister-in-law at the time children from their homes, and they had arrested actually not only the perpetrator but also one other child in the family as a perpetrator against his sisters. And I never understood, like, how could it have been like a ring of sex stuff going on in this one family and nobody ever knew it or said anything? But come to find out, it was just that perpetrator. The other ones were all returned. But come to find out, it had been happening for like 2 generations. The great-grandfather had done it to one child, and then that person had done it to their nephews, and then the nephews had done it to the nieces and nephews. It was awful. It was horrible. Nobody was held accountable other than the perpetrator in our situation. The ones that were named before about why this all started in the first place, 50 years ago, none of those people were ever held accountable, except by me verbally. Of course, and then my kids were no longer a part of the, you're not welcome at the family barbecue anymore. But oh well, because it's one thing. I understand that sometimes this is family, and that makes it kind of awkward, and you can't pick who you're related to, but you can definitely pick who you choose to stay around and have your children around when it's something that's that serious. Because, no, not at all. And that young man actually. That young man, this is kind of the sad, ironic part for me, that man was in prison until he was 19, in youth prison. He was paroled. He was out as a registered sex offender in our community. We didn't live near them or anything, but he was in our community. He started dating a kid that was still in high school. By now he was 21. As a sex offender, that's a no-no. He went back to prison, to big TDC here, and was paroled a little later, and then afterwards, of course, had lots of problems with the law. So he was in our county jail. Well, my son, the son that this had happened to, was, I told you he had gotten into drugs and stuff as a younger teenager. Well, he was in jail in Rockwell County, and he ended up in the same cell with the perpetrator.
Oh, Jesus.
And he called me collect one day from jail, and he was like, Mom, you're not going to believe who's in here. And I was like, who? And he was like, such and such. And I was like, Tell the jailer that you need to be moved out. I had to call the jail and tell the chaplain that this was a situation, because he's a grown man by now, and he didn't, I guess, feel comfortable just going and telling the jailer something like that. But yeah, he was locked up in the same cell and everything with this guy. I mean, it's a nightmare, and I really hate that people attack victims, and by victim I mean not just the actual victim, but the family members that were fooled by these sick people, because it's a sickness, and they hide it very well, and it's easy to victimize and blame. I'm not saying it was right for her to allow that all to happen either, but let's focus on how to keep other people from falling victim to this mess and to stay out of that situation. And then to make sure that these avenues that these perpetrators are using, like the Reddits and the other stuff, that you are well aware that these things exist, so you keep your children off of them. I don't think children should have any kind of social media whatsoever, period, none. But we were fine for years, our lives, without it.
Yeah, remember we saw play outside and have fun and everything? Now it's just...
most kids these days don't even want to go outside and play.
They just want to be on their phones playing games. So.
Yeah.
But anyways, wow. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Well, I'm glad that you're keeping the focus, or trying to anyway, keeping the focus on how grooming affects people and families, and to keep it from happening. That's as important as, the other stuff that you do, which I commend you for.
Well, thank you. And thank you for the super chat earlier, too. Appreciate that.
Yeah. I try when I can, but thank you. Thank you for being patient with my call there. I mixed up.
Oh, yeah, we got it all figured out. All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye. And that was Amy. I could keep hearing my voice in the background. Could you guys? But hey, I've typed it in chat a few times, you guys. We're only $12 short of the new low goal that we set. All right, so if you guys all out there at 352 people can figure out how to get $12 in here, that would be great. All right? Doesn't this channel deserve the support? I know it's not saying the cool thing, but if you appreciate it, I would appreciate your support. Thank you. And yes, all the callers tonight, man, pretty amazing. I think some of them wouldn't. They could probably talk for hours because there's so much more they have to say. But I thought I would try to get as many people in as possible. Well, there's Michelle H. We're now 10 short. Did her phone echo or my phone? Yeah, I think she must have been on, had something open. All right, 309, you're on.
Hi, Gray.
Hello, who's this?
It's this account.
Oh, it's this account. What's going on?
Oh, just listening to the show, and I wanted to give a little insight from my personal experience about, kind of how these predators try to groom you. And so I got involved in a church through a friend, and the pastor there, the youth pastor, so he was like this goofy, fun personality, make all these weird, noises that kids liked, would sit down, play the games with you, that sort of thing. But then he would also teach the classes for us. There was a lot of recreational things that would go on, and traveling, and just a lot of fun stuff for kids to do at that church. But with this particular pastor, he would do things like, after we did our lessons, it'd be time to go, and if we were going to go on a little field trip, wherever it would be, most of the kids rode the bus, but then he would, and it was always the girls, he would say, you two did really good on your lessons, so I want you to stay back for a few minutes. And then, the bus would go, and he would, be like, okay, you guys can ride with me. Well, that was exciting because, you felt special. It's a pastor. And then also he had this kind of a cool car that was fast, and he'd, rev it up a little bit and stuff. But some of the things that he would say would be like when we would get in the vehicle, then it would just be two of us. And I remember being in the back seat, the first time he was somehow he equated it with the hand of God, but he was not only did you guys do well on your lessons, but you have beautiful hands sent from God, like, and you guys could be hand models. And we were like 10 and 11 at the time, so it's a little weird. I remember looking at my hands at that moment, like, okay, that's kind of strange, and it just felt odd. But then he would say, like, imagine if, like, to both of us, just out loud, he would be like, imagine, like, if you were my girlfriend, this is how you guys, one of you would always get to sit in the front and ride around in this car. And, we're like little kids at this point. So he just talked crazy all the time. Like, those are really the only ones that I kind of remember really clearly. But he would always pick, like, there would always be like an odd girl out. You were in trouble for something that didn't make sense, and it was just totally untrue. Someone had dirty shoes one time, but they were not dirty, and so it was like we all got kind of used to it, and he would put aside, like, say we went swimming, then he would put aside a girl and be like, she can't swim today because her shoes are dirty. They're not dirty. Like, everyone can see they're not dirty, but she just didn't get to swim. And he would kind of do this to, like, rotating, but always kind of the same set of us. And so I learned later on that there was a little, from one of the girls, that there was an incident. And that's her story, not mine, so I will not tell that. But as I got older, and when I was about 19, I remember I was just angry that, he was doing this stuff, and I knew then that it was wrong, and that it was definitely, like, grooming of us. I mean, a man saying, imagine if you were my boy or girlfriend, then you would get to ride in this car all the time in the front seat. It's just wrong, That's the way he would speak to us. And he was always singling people out for either specialness or for, like, a complete lie of wrongness, like I was explaining about the shoes. Yeah. So then they didn't get to do whatever activity. Or, like, we were playing racquetball once, and, like, I had sweats on or whatever, or maybe jeans or something, and he would say, like, you look really good doing that, but the best way to play is wear shorts, so make sure you pack shorts next time. So that's the way they speak. And, you're 10, 11 years old, you don't really but I knew something was wrong with it. So, like, I kind of stopped going and my friend would ask me, and I'm like, no, I'm just busy, and so that was one thing. But when I got older, like I said, I got really mad about it because I knew it was wrong. So I called the church and I asked, like, oh, is he still pastor there? And she's like, no, he moved to wherever, and to a different, whatever she said the name of the church. Well, this is before the internet and everything. It was out of state. And that's what she had told me. He moved out of state to such and such a church. And I said, well, I'm calling to let you know that he should not be a pastor, and he should not be a pastor of children. He says inappropriate things. Do you understand what I mean? And she was like, yes. And I said, what state is he in? And she would not tell me. But I was like, I'm telling you, like, he should not be around children at all. And then the other instance, so this one is really bizarre, but I had a friend that, so her parents kind of gave her free reign, and she was one of those kids that had, like, her own phone line and all that stuff. And so I would go over there every so often, but she asked me to come over. And she was like, I want to call my friend. I don't remember what his name was. We'll just say, like, Gary. And she was like, I want to call my friend Gary. And I'm like, who is Gary? And she was like, oh, just this guy. And she was like, he sometimes sends me money. And I was like, for what? Like, is he your family or what? And she's like, no, we just talk on the phone. She like puts him on the phone and she's talking to him. And then she's like, he really, really wants to talk to you. And I was like, okay. So I kind of like, what is this about? I get on the phone and he's like, I really like talking to her, but I got you guys the school yearbook. And so, she said she was really good friends with you. And I thought maybe we should talk. And he was like, almost like Three's Company. Just imagine, like, there was more conversation, but like this was the part where it was like, he was like, he mentioned like Three's Company, and I didn't really know what that was at the time. And this was when I was probably around 14 or something, but a little older, 14, maybe 15. And he was said, but more fun than Three's Company. We could do bubble baths, and like you guys could wash my back, or you guys could just wash each other's back or whatever. And he would just laugh and be like, if you want to talk regular to me, I'll give you my phone number. So I was like, I'll just get it from her. And so he did see where he worked. And I was like, after she got off the phone, I gave her the phone back. After she got off the phone, and it was a really long phone call, I was like, why, where did you meet this guy? Like, why are you talking to him? And she said, he worked at this place, and he asked her for his number, or her number, I'm sorry. And then she exchanged numbers. He said she was really pretty, and then they exchanged the phone numbers, and I guess, to talk, she was like, it's just really easy. We just talk on the phone and he'll send money. And I'm like, that's really weird. Like, that guy gives me the creeps. And she was like, oh, he's harmless. Oh, and the other thing you said too, I forgot about this. We had like a parade. This was the thing that really set me off. We had this parade coming up, and like, where you get on the back of the floats and stuff. And he was like, so, when you're up there and you're going through the parade, just don't forget, I'll be in the crowd watching you guys. And that really bothered me. So,
yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, nothing. Go ahead. I didn't have anything to say.
It's just like the way that they talk to kids. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like the way that they groom you is it's kind of bold, but it also can start like a little not quite as bold. Like I was saying, like the pastor would play games with the kids and also have this like fun personality. So it almost seemed like he was okay, but it just didn't make a lot of sense. So then with this guy, like that really freaked me out. So I did tell my dad, and he was like, where did he say he worked? And I told him, and he's like, don't worry about him anymore. And then I didn't. And he later, like at some point, he was like, I took care of that situation with Gary. And he was like, he won't be calling you or her anytime. And I guess he had went to talk to the guy and told him he knew. And then the guy changed his phone number. So it interrupted, like, with her. So she was a little mad, but because she wanted some money. But, it put an end to that. But so the point is just that that's how they talk to the kids, like, to get things started.
Yeah.
So those are like the warning signs. And then hopefully to have conversation with your children that, like, and pay attention to who's like really kind of doing special things for your kids. Like, it can be nice and it's kind of sad because people want to be genuine with kids and, you know, do nice things for them sometimes, but also to keep an eye on that sort of thing and, you know, make sure you know who's trying to spend a lot of time with your child. And as far as like the Jen Soto case, I think it's just a really good learning lesson for anyone that doesn't see it already as a flag, that typically grown men do not want to sleep in the bed with young kids. And that in and of itself is a major red flag, especially alone. And, you know.
Yep. All right. Well, you got a whole bunch of samples in there tonight.
What's that? I'm sorry, couldn't
I said
hear
you got a whole
right.
bunch of samples in there tonight.
Yeah, just different ways that they like talk to kids, you know, like, I don't know, maybe it's like more through the internet, you know, but it's just that's kind of the grooming process that they do, and singling kids out and spending special time with them. And then also that other guy, I mean, that was just twisted and weird. I don't know what that was, but
I bet you almost every girl or a lot of young kids have samples of somebody. Here's what I think. If the numbers are 3 out of 10 that are abused, then the number is probably more like 9 out of 10 had an attempt on them.
Right.
Or almost like 100% of every kid had probably had an attempt by someone at some point.
I agree with that.
Right.
I think it is. I think it's probably. You're probably right. Like at some point, someone has, especially now with like the internet. And as far as like actual abuse or anything like that, I wouldn't talk about that. You know, in this circumstances, but that's about what that's what I wanted to kind of warn about. And like you said, I mean, I agree with it, and you just really have to watch who is singling out your child, why they're, and have those conversations with them to let them know, especially if they threaten your child, you know, if you do this, this is going to happen. That's a lie. Anytime, like immediately, if they threaten you, that means you need to talk to mom and dad.
Well, there you go. Awesome. How you doing? You doing pretty good? You called in again.
Great.
You called in again. All right.
Yeah, I thought it was an important topic and something, you know, worth sharing, just to kind of give examples of how they kind of worm their way in, and especially at a young age where, you know, you don't necessarily understand that it is what it is. You know, you fall for it. And then, of course, in that situation with the pastor, like the church, your parents are going to trust that, you know, that people are monitoring your kids and things that are going on. And then, you know, they are slick. They're sly. And, you know, they build up some trust and get into these opportunities. And, you know, where there are kids, there will be predators. That's just how it is. They got to go where, you know, if you want to fish,
they always
you go to
live
the pond.
near, like a lot of times predators will live near a school or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Well, hey, very cool. You're not, somebody actually, I'll ask you later. Never mind. I won't say it on here.
Okay.
It was kind of a stupid comment somebody made, but I'll check, because I've never thought that. But anyways, let's see. Wow. Well, you had about...
Your email, you mean?
You had like 4 different examples. I bet you everybody in here has those. Everybody.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think they probably do, and those are the things to like watch out for. And I don't know exactly how, you know, it kind of varies for family situations and who's around your kids and how you talk to them about, you know, especially if like they buy an item for your kid, like, well, what was that gift? If it's out of nowhere or whatever, you know, I mean, it's fine, because that's the weird part about it, is that there are times where things are just fine and normal, you know. Someone just buys a gift out of kindness, but then it's like, well, is there too much attention? Is there too much, you know, gift giving? Like, that's also part of grooming. You know, like she was receiving money to sit and listen to or talk to this guy being filthy on the phone, and she was happy to do so. She was like, I just never meet him, you know. And he went through yearbook. I mean, that's pretty creepy. So, anyway, I won't go on about it, but I'm just saying, talk to your kids as much as you can, and please, I know co-sleeping, but it's like a boyfriend, and not all men are bad. You can find good men. You could get a wonderful husband after a divorce. You just need to be very careful as you learn this person and learn them before you introduce them to your kids is often a good advice. And, you know, you get a feel for people. Wait, don't just rush right in and give them quick access to your kids, you know. That way the signs, and watch, you know, very carefully. So, and sometimes they're just so good at it that they pull the wool over everybody's eyes, and it's nobody's fault. It's the predator, and it just happens. But, you know, all we could do is our best to keep our eyes out, talk openly with our kids, monitor now social media, which is extremely... Oh, and you put out Telegram, Gray.
Mm-hmm.
That was so good to put that out, because people need to know if
I even read
like,
the article about Telegram and how it's used by predators to share files, and they even do things where they, you know, manipulate a girl, and then they get her to do certain things by threatening to send out the images, and they get her, and they even I've had people kill themselves at the...
Oh my God.
It's absolutely crazy. Like, they say, we're going to put this out there unless you know, it's just wild. They push them all the way to the brink. And I think they even had people carve their initials into their skin, things like that.
What?
I mean, we went over a whole article on Telegram and what it's used for. I mean, it has a lot of different uses. I'm saying predators use it. It's a file sharing, and Stephen Stearns was on there at 11:49 after they were sent upstairs to go to sleep. So it's like,
what?
It's pretty interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what makes Telegram like the one to go to?
Well, that's not. I don't know if it's the one. It's just one of the ones. It's just one that he was using. Well, here's the thing. He's using a site that predators use at 11:49. It's kind of an unusual app that a lot of people aren't using. I watched stuff on there from the Israel-Gaza conflict. They actually showed the body camera footage on there.
Oh my!
So it's actually a website that but predators use it, and so when you read about it, it's when you see that, and you see that a predator is using that app at 11:49. About 49 minutes after they were sent upstairs, you kind of wonder what he was doing on there. And that's it. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and I don't want to wonder too far into what he might have been doing. But yes, it's painful to think about what he might have been doing. And I hope they could get a time at that for her to kind of clear up some of this stuff. But, I mean... just don't let your kids sleep with your boyfriend, know, and it was
it's kind of easy to say, but like if you have the situation where when somebody says that to somebody, of course, that sounds normal. But you got to picture it a different way, is that like in this situation, they've known each other for 7 years. I mean, that is a ton of time. That's as long as I've been doing YouTube. And they were sitting there YouTube live streaming, and so you think about like this person convinced them, they groomed the child not to say anything, so everything seemed normal. So even something like that, even though she was skeptical of it, she was willing to trust him because she does trust him. So she allowed it to happen, and there's no complaints. So then maybe in the future when it happens again, she'll be more likely to allow it to happen because things went okay the first time. And then it's just, he kept pushing the boundaries. And in their family unit, it became somewhat normal for them. And that's just the way, he groomed the whole situation like that. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, everybody out there, it's not smart at all. It's dumb to send your kid up to sleep with a boyfriend, etc. And everybody knows that. I know that. But when you look at the situation over time, she didn't know that anymore. Even though she was like a little bit leery of it, he groomed the situation. It's so obvious and it's so weird that people aren't seeing this, especially now when we know that even law enforcement believes she had no knowledge of what he was doing. So there you go.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with that. I do. I have felt like that from the beginning, and that there was a good possibility that their whole family was groomed, and we started getting interviews and stuff like that, and the little one-off wording to me wasn't a big deal because it was immediately corrected, and it seemed like this is kind of how they lived their life, and she was used to it and probably didn't expect it. I know people don't. I think it can be really hard to understand that because it's quite an obvious thing, but it just, like you said, it became normal for them. So, and as of now, if there's dirt on the mother, they're going to find it.
Well, they've already looked, though, for 4.5 months and found nothing.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, yeah, so we need to just focus on the fact that Stearns is the person.
But that's not what everybody's going to focus in on. See, all these other people, they're going to spend all their time just keep going over the same damn thing as if there's something in those interviews that they're going to stumble upon that all of the investigators missed because they're super sleuthy. They actually wanted Jennifer to be guilty of something. They were looking for it because it is weird. Oh my God, she sent him up to go to sleep. She said that she saw her in the morning, but she didn't see him in the morning. They didn't like the way her behavior was in the interviews, because it wasn't normal. Yes, we all know that. But after all was said and done, after all of that, looking through all their digital material and interviewing everybody, and going through the entire case, they found absolutely nothing. And they believe, again, that she had no knowledge of nor participated in anything with Stephen Stearns. Why isn't that enough for people to go, dang, man, I had it wrong. Let's now focus on Stephen Stearns. But they don't do it because they have confirmation bias. It's cognitive dissonance. They just can't listen to anything. They just keep going, and that's what I hate about the true crime genre. Is this situation right here? Sucks.
The continuous pushing at somebody who has been. The door is closed right now on her having any involvement.
At this point, now, it is possible that in the future they stumble upon a note that was hidden underneath the couch, and here it was saying, "Hey, Stephen, she's available." And then, boom, I'll switch. But, man, that's just luck on your side over there that something showed up like that. Because currently, she's being treated horribly for what the evidence is currently in the case. You get it? That's it. Okay?
Agreed, and I think the door should be closed. And like you said, if something comes up later on, then it comes up later on. But it's not there right now. So kind of maybe let's let her just not be the focus of the case anymore. Let her grieve, and there are things that I don't agree with it, but there was some normalcy, and it became normal for them. Okay, it's not safe, but the wool was there, and like you said, 7 years, so she probably trusted him, and just I don't know. There are some statements that I'm like, that's that kind of bothers me. But like I said, I'm willing to close the door on it because they went line by line, right? Didn't you say that? Or it was in something? I thought I remember hearing that they went line by line through these texting. So, I mean, they didn't find anything. They were listening.
Yeah, they were trying. They were going through the conversation, meaning they took his conversation with hers back and forth. So that whole thing about, oh, she's not sleeping here anymore, can't risk it. You know, that they have the answer to that, and it didn't lead to anything. And what does it even mean? And by the way, what if she just mistyped something and then it means something totally different than anything? So it's just kind of like they wanted to know what it meant because it probably didn't make sense in the conversation she was having. So it's kind of confusing to them. And maybe she doesn't even, and she goes, I don't even know what that means. You know, so
right.
I actually believe that. You know, I think it's just like, it's just a stupid, it's a comment that was made a while ago. You're probably like, yeah, I don't even know what that means. What is that?
She may have been partially asleep, or, you know, I think she was taking medications and stuff. So, you know, a typo or whatever, what have you. I don't know what it means. You know what I mean? I don't know what that means. It's a little weird, obviously. You know, they questioned her about it, but it just doesn't seem to lead to anything. And I don't know why in these cases sometimes people just want it to be where it's more than what it is. Like,
yeah, it's every case is like that. In the Idaho 4 case, you got the Brent Kopaka. That's not his wide a launcher. It's this other one. It was these other kids that did something. Blah 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 blah. In the Delphi case, it's not Richard Allen. It's these Odinist wackos running around because they just can't. They want content. I truly believe, you guys, that I'm putting out the new information when we get it. We've paid for this stuff. So when new information comes out, I'll put it out there for you to look at. Okay? I'm not going to invent content by pretending there's something else. Something's just not right here, you hear often. So you got a lot of the true crime, you know, quote, true crime YouTubers who just invent stuff for content and just talk about it. And people go, wow, did you hear what so-and-so said? It's so intriguing. And it just isn't. If you have a brain that works, it's not intriguing at all. They just tricked you into thinking it was something. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, that's the way we come to Grant Hughes, because you'll look at it and check it out, but the bar is there so that it's like, we're not going off into crazy town here on this one. We're not, you know, there needs to be a little bit more. Of course, there's discussion and some speculation and stuff, but you raise the bar above that level, you know, and just don't continuously let people pick at someone who is, you know, and this goes for the cases where, not just this one, but it's like these people are victims and the families and stuff, where it's like it doesn't go that way. So the bar is raised, and I appreciate that. But I'll let you take some other calls, Gray. And I agree with you. I do. So everybody, you know, keep good care on your kids. I know we all do.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you for calling in. Good talking to you.
Yeah, you too. I'll
have a good one.
Look for your message or whatever about whatever later.
It was just really stupid. But anyways, all right. See you later. Have a good one.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was this account. I'm getting rid of the phone now. Yeah, I had two instances. I've told the freaks this over the years, but one time I was like 12 or 13. I mean, now that I think back, it's like, of course. I mean, that's exactly the age, right? I was in a basketball camp, and they drove us all home. All the kids, there was like, 10 kids in the car, and they drove everybody to their houses, and I was the last one left in the van, and there's no they, it's just one person driving. And then my house is coming up, and I said, okay, I live right here, and he just kept driving, and I was in the front seat passenger side. He was driving, and he just kept driving. He didn't say anything. And then I put my hand on the door, and then he just kept driving, and then eventually he did turn around and he took me home. But I just wonder if there was like a choice, a decision he was making, because man, it was like, what? It was so obvious. I was like, yeah, I live right here. And he just kept driving and driving down the road. And then I think he could tell that my hand was on the door, so he turned around and drove me back. And then another one was about the same, a little like a year before that or so, maybe a couple of years. I was walking on Beaver and Hillsdale Highway, and I was just walking, and this car pulls up. It seemed like there was like 2 adults or something in there, and they pulled up right next to me and said, "Get in the car!" And I just turned around and ran like a freaking gazelle back to the house. But like, what were they doing? You know, what were they going to be doing at that point? I mean, that's wild. What if I got into that car? Jesus, unbelievable. So that's what I think. I think most people have had something happen to them out there. You know, I think everybody has had some interaction where there was something. You might not even remember it now, but at the now, if you could somehow put yourself in that same position when you were young, you'd realize exactly what the hell was going on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's always something, I think. And I think there's even more, you know, like just things that people aren't really aware of, just little things going on. Very, very creepy shit, man. Hold on a second. Hey, thanks, Sarah67. My stated friend, MS. Who's that? Maddie. Talked to Seven Stearns on the phone. Not every conversation with Jennifer Stearns present on the cell, as she reported. Jennifer Stearns. I don't know what that means, man. I have no idea what you're saying. That Madeline Stern talked to Stephen Stearns on the phone. Not every conversation was with Jennifer Soto present on the cell, as she reported. Jennifer Soto did not know that they had more going on. Right. Yeah. It's obvious. I mean, it's really obvious, you know. Yeah. And thank you, Sarah67. Wonder if they got me hooked up where I can, let me see if I can gift memberships anymore. No, still doing that stupid. God, that's crazy. Stephen Stearns was a deadbeat. He should have never been a boyfriend material. Okay, so what? You know what I think is crazy? Is you got all these wannabe, like these people that show up here that act like they're just so in on the case, but they don't even know about the interviews. So here you go, everybody. Like the first week of this case, I interviewed, I think 3 or 4 people. I have a video out there. It's all quartered off. There's 4 different people I interviewed on the thumbnail. There's 4 parts on it. And I interviewed one guy named Chase. He actually called into the show just like we're doing tonight. He called in and he told us how, you know, a lot about Stephen Stearns. And by the way, the mother actually is Stephen Stearns' mom has contacted this guy and like got really angry at him for calling in. So anyways, this guy called into the show, and when he called in, he told us that he was roommates with Stephen Stearns and another guy. The other guy had a girlfriend, and at this house there was a server in the house because they were all gamers. So they had a server built in the house, and this other roommate who has a girlfriend went onto the server into a particular folder and found images of his girlfriend on Stephen Stearns in the folder that Stephen Stearns created. And Chase also said there was CSAM material in there. Okay, that's what he said. I can't verify any of this stuff. Okay, that's what he said. And then this roommate was broke at the time, but then Stephen Stern's mom, apparently, this is what he said, paid him off to keep him quiet, and he didn't say anything. And that's what Chase, the other roommate, told me. Okay, now, taken alone, you look at it and go, wow, that's pretty weird. But then months later, when we get these documents out, we find out that Stephen Stearns was recording the roommate of Jennifer Soto in their apartment, exactly the same thing he was doing, which absolutely adds a tremendous amount of credibility to that original story. Yeah, I'm already done with the calls though. So I had the lines open. Yeah, so the I was just trying to tell a story. So it gives like tremendous amount of credibility to the that story that was told, right? Because it was told to me on the beginning of March, or the early March, that story was told to me. So you don't think that now, when you combine that with the fact that he was actually doing that with Jennifer's roommates, that shows that he was doing that? Now, whether or not she paid him, I don't know. But, I mean, why would you tell that story? It was just early on, okay? Yeah, I know they tried calling early on, and then I waited, and they didn't try calling back again. Yeah, I know, I saw all that. Okay, I'll open it back up again. I wanted to try to end the show. I'm really tired, and all right, go ahead. You got about 10 seconds. We'll do it for 10 seconds there, Michael. Why? Why would you hate to be one of the friends or the roommates right now, Joanne? Yeah, nobody watched the last video. You know what I wish you guys would go do is go share the video that I just made earlier. It got way too views for something that was kind of important for people to see. I think it's just an absolute shame and almost just disgusting on YouTube and just really everybody's part for not sharing a video of that importance, okay? Kind of sucks. It's like, hey, everybody, share the video. Yeah, I'll go do something. Oh, let me go watch this other one. Ooh, more about Jennifer. Ooh. Where's the phone call there, Michael? See, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I didn't want to open it up again, because we're just sitting around waiting and waiting again. All right, is this going to be it? Is this going to be it? Hello, who's this?
Michael Trujillo.
Who's this?
Michael Trujillo.
Oh, okay. Hey, what's going on? You did call in, man. I didn't remember seeing that number. I don't remember seeing the 720 pop in.
Yeah, it's a Colorado number. I'm currently in Albuquerque now. No, I was just gonna say, been following your channel for probably a couple of years now. I just wanted to ask a question. Like, how do you deal with hardships? I'm just speaking for myself.
What do you mean by hardships?
Well, I just turned 32. Lost both my parents in some very weird circumstances, and feel all alone. All I got is my sister left, and I love her to death. So I guess that was the question. It's like, how do you deal with certain hardships? Like if you lose certain people around you that you love the most.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty... Well, I don't know if there's like some magic pill. I mean, grief is...
No, I know that. I'm just saying like some sort of advice or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough because I remember, when I lost my brother, it's just like you're in this weird zone. You probably felt that same weird, kind of like you're in a weird place, right?
I dream about them almost like all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, but you have your sister, so what you should do is just really kind of, if I was you, I'd develop, get your relationship with her even better and really kind of lean on each other. And, I mean, are you guys close, you and your sister?
Oh, yeah. She's it's funny because my name's Michael, her name's Michelle.
Oh, yeah?
I guess they wanted a boy first, but I was the last one, yeah.
Probably almost spelled the same, except like one letter, right? I mean, something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Michael and Michelle, but yeah.
But I'm sorry to hear that, though. That's just terrible. Was it just randomly at the same time? They just both passed away?
My pops, he suffered from surgery complication, back surgery, spinal surgery.
Oh, weird.
He was in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was in the military, and apparently the doctor did not do what they were supposed to do, and he was paralyzed. Yeah, it was a terrible ordeal. He suffered through that for. He had to learn how to walk. He had to learn how to talk. He had to everything all over.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most painful thing that anybody could go through, I feel like. And that was just that was on his side, and then as far as the rest of our family, kind of broke us down. And then my mom, she I call it Flovid instead of COVID. She got a bad case, and she wound up succumbing to that virus. Yeah.
Why do you call it Flovid? Because it flows around.
Just as a joke. Just as a joke, like to lighten the mood, basically.
Yeah. I've had it twice
because,
now. It's not fun. It's not good.
I was on my deathbed one time. I got it back in when it initially started in September of
oh wow,
what was it, 2020 or something like that?
Yeah, there was like 2019 in December is when it started showing up. So 2020.
Okay, so it was 2019. I went to a music festival, and there was like 60,000 people there, and we were doing this, that, and the other, and I was on my deathbed. Like,
wow.
I remember we were supposed to go to it was a Browns and a Chiefs NFL football game. And once we left the festival, and as soon as we got to the hotel, my nose just started running, like, nonstop.
Yeah.
I had a fever of like 102 or something like that. Like, the heat was just emanating off my head. Shakes, body aches, like I was literally on my deathbed.
Wow.
My old roommate, he saved my life basically. But yeah.
Is that what happened to your mom? She actually died from COVID, your mom? Jeez.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Man, that's
so basically what happened to her was she basically had a heart attack because her respiratory system was not able to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened. So she had a heart attack.
So she had the whole, I think they call it like the cytokine storm in her lungs, and she wasn't able to get enough oxygen and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened to my mom's.
Wow, sorry to hear that. Yeah, I mean.
So I'm just like,
man, what do you do?
Yeah. How does somebody deal with all this? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
How does one, both my parents are.
Are you married or anything like that? Have family or girlfriends, or is it just kind of you and your sister and who else?
Just me and my sister. That's it. The rest of my family is crazy, so I can't talk to the rest of them. We have a very big family, but
yeah, I guess that's kind of where, like, if you're a religious person, maybe like a church or something would probably help you feel better, or talking to a psychologist or a social worker or something like that, if you're really feeling down like that. You know, it's hard to just have a magic thing to say.
It's real depressing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
I mean, my parents weren't even old. Like, they were, I guess right now they'd be like 66 and 65.
Yeah, that's pretty young.
That's not even old, you know?
Not anymore. Hey, 60 is the new 40. You know, I'm telling myself anyway. That's what I'm telling people. Myself, you know.
It's not even old.
That's not old. Yeah.
No, I just got back from the movie theater, actually. I went and saw, they had the 25th anniversary of The Matrix.
Oh, did they do anything in there special for in the movie? Make it a little different, or just played it again?
No, they had an opening sequence. So the actress from the last movie, Resurrections, she did a tribute, basically, kind of talking about what the movie means and what it meant to her and whatnot. So that was pretty cool.
You know what's weird is like that movie's pretty amazing special effects to think it's 25 years old. You know.
You know, here's the funny thing too, is because like I love this movie so much. I remember 1998. I walk in. We used to live in these little apartments in Manhattan, Kansas. It was a Georgetown Apartments. I remember walking.
You ever just tell people? You ever just say, "Hey, I live in Manhattan"? You know, you can tell that to people. Anyways, I'm just joking around.
They used to call it the little. They used to call it the Little Apple.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead. What were you gonna say about that?
So I walk into the living room and my parents are watching this movie, The Matrix, on VHS. That's when Blockbuster was.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, you can get the VHS with the up converters, you know. They make it look a little better.
Yeah. So I remember walking into the living room and, you know, I'm just a kid. I guess, 6 years old or something like that. And remembering the scene where Morpheus was giving the choice to Neo, do you want to take the red pill or the blue pill? And I remember that to this day. It's like, just walking in as a kid, seeing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's like.
And then it's like full circle. So I'm watching, because like I said, we were seeing it on VHS. You know, on a 12-inch little TV. You know, some rinky-dink sort of deal.
Yeah.
So to be able to see it on the big screen was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing how they did that. I guess they had these. When you jump in the air and you stay still and the camera go around, they'd have this whole circle of cameras, a full circle.
The initial scene with Trinity running away from the agents, that initial scene to start the movie, that's like, it sets it off apart, like, from anything, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess they filmed those ones where he jumps in the air and he's frozen with like a ring of cameras that go all around. And when he jump in the air, they'd all film at the same time. And it would look like and then they would play all of those in a row. And it looked like it was going around them, but they were all filmed at the same second, like the same frame, right? So it's like, and then you put them all together. Let's say you have 30 cameras. That means for 1 second, it'll look like he's still, but the video would go around him. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I didn't even know the cinematography as far as that goes, how they did that. Like,
yeah, I didn't either until I saw some kind of a special on it. It was pretty amazing. But people are saying in here there's support groups out there you could go join and talk to people, you know, or watch things that are funny, you know, like Zozo said, the best medicine is laughter, you know, just find things that are funny, listen to comedians, you know.
I always try to laugh so much. I have a cartoon or like an idea of a cartoon that I'm coming up with. It's dark, but it's funny at the same time. I guess you just gotta laugh at certain stuff. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
And I guess the one thing I always look at is You know, there hasn't been one person that's ever lived on the planet that didn't die at some point. So you just kind of think like
nobody's,
you know,
yeah, nobody's perfect. Like, yeah,
and everybody has had to go through. So you just feel like, you know, just realize you're not alone, because just every single person that's ever lived has had to go through something similar at some point. But it's just, I guess the point is, how do you get through that point, that time?
That's what I'm like gunning for, because it's like it's so hard to deal with certain stuff, and it's like, well, if I lose the people that I love the most, then who else do I have?
Yeah, well, you got your sister. There you go.
I love her so much.
Yeah, you got your sister, but also, you know, like,
well, she's got Flovid, so if anybody could pray out there for her, that she feels better.
All right, everybody, put some positive vibes out there for Michael's sister.
Michelle.
Or Michelle is the name, but Michael's sister, Michelle, for what he calls Flovid.
Well, you got to lighten the mood a little bit, right? Like,
Sure. Yep, so you're getting some pray hands in there. I'm seeing them right now. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm on the phone with you, so I can't see the live chat, but yeah.
Well, do you have any, what kind of hobbies do you have? Maybe focus in on some of those a little bit more. Like you just said you're making a cartoon. Is it an animated cartoon, or just sort of a like a cartoon like you'd see in a paper?
No, I
Or
have
comic,
I have an idea
comic.
for the art style and everything. I have multiple characters. Yeah, it's been a work in the making. It's you know, it's been years and years that I've been coming up with ideas. What me and my well, here's going back to Michelle. She's part of the writers board. That's what I call it. And we come up with skits. And there's so many skits that we've already come up with that are timeless and pretty cool.
You know, when I was in, when I went to, when I was at, I mean, I've told this story to the freaks, but I was at University of Oregon. On my dorm floor, we used to do, me and this guy, we used to do these skits. We used to just go, hey, okay, you pretend that you're this person, and I'll pretend this, and we'll go around and do those things. And the weird part is, guess
Dude,
what?
that's awesome.
You know what? You know what's crazy about it? The guy that I was doing it with here. I'll just tell you the story. How weird this shit is. I was doing these skits. This guy was a business major.
I want to hear. I gotta hear it now.
Yeah, because this guy's a business major, right? And then we were good friends for a year or so. And then my brother died, and then I sort of went into a shell, and it just, you know, I just faded away. And then we talked one last time, and he went to another school. And then years later, I looked him up, and I saw that he was a professor at Penn State for acting. And I was like, holy shit. And then I was looking at something else, and he turns out it's Ty Burrell, the guy that was on Modern Family. You know, he's one of the actors on Modern Family. And I really think this is true, that our time doing the skits in the dorm is what got him moving to what he ended up doing. You know, it's pretty. And you know what's crazy about when you watch Modern Family and he's on there? He acts exactly the same as he is in real life. He's not acting at all. That's what
the man that you knew, and the man that you knew, correct?
Yeah. I mean, he was exactly. I mean, one time we were fishing, and I caught a fish underneath the I-5 bridge, and I go, "Hey, can you take this fish back?" And I look over there, and he's walking, and he just flips up in the air, and he falls on the ground, and he's in the water, and all he comes up with is the head of the fish, right? And like that's exactly the shit that you would see him do on the show. I mean, it's crazy, man. Weird.
But it was like part of what you guys had created beforehand.
Yeah, well, it just feels like, you know, he was a business guy, but we used to just sit there and do these little goofy things, laughing around. Like, we were like best friends for a certain amount of time. Like, we always did everything together. And, you know, when he eventually left.
You know one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, it's no big deal. I was just going to ramble on some more.
Oh, I was going to say, one of the main contributors, part of the writers board, was my friend Brandon B. And he helped create a lot of these skits and characters that we came up with. and he disappeared one day. Like, he used to live at our apartment in Aurora, Colorado, and me and him used to make up all these skits, and we used to. He was actually a very good artist, and we would come up with these characters, these skits, and then one day he had a drug problem, and I guess his ex-girlfriend, he got back with her and never saw the man again. Old Brandon, old B.
But you still have the characters though, right?
Oh yeah, no, I still got the pictures, the characters, everything. But
Yeah.
old B, I don't know whatever happened to him. Disappeared one night. He got hooked back on meth was his drug of choice, and he disappeared. Never saw him again.
Jeez. Well, that's another one for you, but you know, I don't know.
He created some of the best characters. Like, yeah, no, if I could share something with you later or something, I think you get a kick out of the skits, because obviously you know the skits and
Well, you
whatnot.
could send me an email on it. I think my email's underneath my video in the description of the videos.
I didn't mean to bother you earlier. Like,
Well,
for some reason, I was having a problem with my laptop, and so it wasn't playing audio. So I didn't know that you were on a call when I was trying to.
Oh, it's okay. I think everybody. I mean, when I'm on a call, there's like, you're not the only one. There's probably 4 more other phone calls that come in while I'm on the call. I just don't have a way to put somebody on hold or anything.
Right. Like I said, I didn't mean to bother you or nothing.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right. Sometimes I'm just kind of grumpy on the show. It's just you know, that's my personality.
You're not doing the jail stuff anymore, right?
I haven't been put in jail for a while. Nobody's been throwing me in there. I'm shocked.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
I know. You'd think somebody would have been tossing me in jail for my stance on this case. You know. Yeah. Oh well. Maybe next time, huh?
I love the cases. I love what you're doing, especially with helping out families with, you know, contributing to law enforcement and in order to help solve these cases. So, like, yeah, no, you're doing a damn good deal as far as that goes. And
thanks.
I wish more people would appreciate that. But I guess it's just what's down to everybody's heart, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but well, hey, you know, I appreciate you calling in and telling. I mean, I wish I was like an expert on the topic, but hopefully the freaks and our conversation helped you out a little bit tonight. Did it?
I feel better. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, make sure to show up in here more, and people can chat with you, and maybe check out, see if you can find a group of other people, you know, they're kind of struggling with the same thing, maybe on Facebook.
I'm always kind of lurking in the chat, well, I wanted to call in tonight because I saw you said it was a call-in show, so I wanted to call in. But like I said, I've been following you for a few years now.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Always just kind of just lurking around in the chat, you know.
Yeah, a lot of people type in, "I'm just lurking." I read that. I think the word "lurk" is probably the most used word in my chats. People always say, "Oh, I'm lurking."
Well, what's a better way to go about things then, I guess?
I
Just
don't
be
know.
more involved?
Yeah, you just start typing. Just say, "Hey, everybody," and you'll just become, you know, if you want, you can make yourself available to become a channel member, you know, because people gift memberships often, and then you'll be one of the green names in there, and then you'll be able to, you know, you get the little emojis you can type in, and you know, I see people with the colored names a little easier, you know. So
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I don't want to, like, you know, I don't know how to put it. I don't need any recognition or anything, but yeah, being a part of the community and you know, just speaking to each other, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, like Zozo just typed in, you've got a great family right here. Because we're all freaks. Sometimes it gets heated in here. It's like, so we call it like Thanksgiving dinner, you know, maybe every day, everybody, you know, you might be pissed at me one day, but the next day, everything will be just normal and fine again. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is.
I consider myself a freak for sure.
All right. Well, make sure you're available though to be, you know, gifted a membership. If you can afford to get one on your own, great. But if not, you just sign up on there. We get people that give 5, 10, sometimes, and then you become a channel member in green. So there you go.
I'm starting a new job October 14th, so I'm broke right now. But yeah, if anybody, if there's any freaks out there that would help me out with a membership.
Yeah, you have to make yourself available, though. I don't know. Is there? I think if you, where do you guys click to make yourself available for that? Anybody know? I think when a super chat comes in, you can click on the not a super chat. When somebody becomes a member, you can click on that, and then it says, like, make yourself available for member gifting.
I don't know how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, either do I, actually. I'm on this end of it. I don't know. People just tell me that it says that. But maybe somebody could. It says, think it's under join. Oh, yeah. Maybe you've clicked the join button. It's under there. The 3 dot. Unless you have an Apple phone. I don't know. If you have an Android?
Yeah, I got an iPhone, yeah.
Yeah, it makes it a little harder. You have to have, like, the link. But maybe if you see a membership come in, you just click on it, and then I think you can make yourself available. So, all right. Maybe the next time.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, just a platform that you're obviously helping out the community. Yeah, just hearing me out. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, hey, thanks for calling in and telling us, letting us kind of listen to you and maybe try to help you out a little bit. All right? Well, good luck.
Thanks, sir.
Start talking in the chat, man. We'll see you in there. All right.
I'll be here.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you.
All right. Bye. You as well. Bye-bye.
All right. Michael there. Everybody put some positive vibes out there for Michael. Sorry he's having to go through all that. What a man, that sucks. Jeez. Pretty young parents there. Yeah, you should come back and read the chat later. There's a lot of positive advice and comments for you. So you should read the chat after the show's over, if you're still out there. But I think I'm about ready, almost done here. I'll tell you what, though, guys, if you do 10 more, we'll have reached the old goal that we used to have at the 250 mark. That'd be great, man. But anyways, thank you to Cheryl Bullock, who started the night off, then Karen, Ramo Omar, Lisa Valenzuela, Beard Freak, Melissa F., Miranda Wrights, Raw Time Now, Ivan Victor. Ivan Victor was on something tonight. I don't know what the hell's going on. Lori B., gifted a membership. Pigar, Biggie. No, not Biggie. It says Big Girl for Life. This account, Pigar, Kimberly Gabaldon. Raw Time Now, this account, then Amy Lemoyne with a cat eye, then Nikki Zibs, and thanks for calling in, Amy. Karen, this account, Michelle H, Karina Rain, Lisa Valenzuela, then Mrs. O. What's this person doing? Sarita. What is she saying in here? Mods Nikki. What does that mean? We don't deal with whiners in here. Mrs. O, then Tish Promfritz, Kelly Higgins, and Sarah 67. Yeah, there you go. And then we had Elizabeth on Cash App, then also Mary T on Cash App. Then earlier in the day we had I think that's Your Gypsy, I think. And then also Cassandra G, Carla, and I'm incredibly grateful for the way you are covering the Soto case. Your channel is the only reasonable one at the moment. Well, here's what I think is going to happen. A lot of the other ones at some point will switch over and pretend that they too always thought that. And you can forget that. And then also to Laura S. out there. Anyways, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. And hope you guys, I thought that was an interesting show. We should probably do something like that again. Sometimes we have like your true crime story nights. Maybe I should just try to do that every Sunday, unless there's a big case that there's new news or something. We kind of need to have like every Sunday night, or would Saturday be better for that? Because Saturday people can stay up late. Doesn't matter. But anyways, thanks everybody for being here. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure to go out and share that video that I just made earlier. And when I say share, I don't mean put it on. I mean put it somewhere where a lot of people might see it and watch it. Okay, because that one should be seen by more people than it's currently being seen by. I think it's ludicrous to have a video that's kind of important like that just to sort of fade into oblivion right out of the gate. I mean, it was amazing. I was watching it, just went, it was like that. Yeah, grief is debilitating. So, Michael out there, hang in there. Yeah, we love you too, Michael. Hang in there, man. Alright, so thanks everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. And, as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. Oh, by the way, I mean, I believe what I believe in this case because I've gone over all the documents and have been covering it since the beginning. Interviewed a lot of different people. Listened to a lot of different interviews, and it just, I'm just saying, I haven't seen anything that's been a huge alarm bell. The thing that I always said, even from the beginning, was, the only time is when she literally fabricated something was when she said she saw her getting ready in the morning. But she's honest about saying that, and she says, I don't know, I just heard her, and I just sort of said that I saw her, So, to me, that's about it. The other things, there's nothing there. The whole thing about we picked her up, people keep bringing that shit up like they're 2-year-olds. Okay? She said, and every single time she said we, right after that, she said, well, he's the one that picked her up. Okay? So even then, she was telling the truth after she said we, which is kind of like people say that often when they're referring to the family unit. All right. Anyways, that's all I got. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, and be safe out there. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, flag rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. I'm gonna get you on a stretcher if you try and play me like a no projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector. Ain't I'm always gonna be a papa protector. Flactor, interceptor. And I'm meaner than a specker with a vector on his specter. With all respect, just remember I have a temple fucking check. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal true offender. God, what the hell was that? Was that a dying cat?
Gosh, Gray, that is very nice.
My God, are you really that upset, Mary Lou?
No, not really. Good night, everybody.
What is good night, good everybody? Whew, whatever. Alright, see ya. And be safe out there. I see you guys.